Doug Walker. You're watching The Crazy House with Crazy McCormick.
What up, y'all? Welcome to the Crazy House. I am Crazy McCormick, but you already know that. All right, so I'm sorry, I'm already one Red Bull in, and I got 3 more to go. So let's see, how was everybody's week? Mine was shit, but that's only because it was work related. You know, going back to 7, almost working 7 days a week. It is what it is, but at least I can say that almost every weekend, I get to enjoy some fruits of my labor. Yeah, went on an adventure with my little boy today, and I told him, dude, we're looking for something specific, cheap ass shit, and cheap ass shit we actually got a couple of. And I know that this is not a normal segment, but apparently, you guys know me. Like, it's gotten to a point in the Juggalo community where if you're talking about video games, probably 80% of the time, you're going to think about Crazy McCormick. And I want to get that up to 147.4% whenever you think about video games in the Juggalo community, it is Crazy McCormick that you think of. So with that being said, let me show you some of the little gems that I got. First and foremost, I ended up getting Pong in the next level. Sell your video games and buy Legend Valley. I probably could, with the amount of money that I have, I don't know, I probably could actually create my own gathering if I were to sell my entire video game collection. You know what I'm saying? But first and foremost, I ended up getting Pong the next level on the PlayStation. I remember seeing commercials for this, and it was like mind blowing because of the comparison of the original Pong. You know what I'm saying? But hey, $4 for this, John. I'm happy with that. I'm leaving what I consider to be the best for last. Another one on the PlayStation, which I don't know anything about this game, which is because I don't normally play for like war games or first-person shooter games. You can thank 9/11 for that, because after 9/11 happened, I ended up going under the belief there was this huge explosion of war-based games and first-person shooters. I'm like, that's just a fucking subliminal messaging to get people to enlist so that way they can, be on this war on oil. Fuck terrorism. It was oil. All right. First and foremost, it was oil, because when Saudi Arabia found out that we were going back to them, they started lighting their oil rigs on fire in protest and effigy, which I don't blame them, because fucking Bush. You know what I'm saying? Bush is a fucking idiot. But I don't know anything about this game, but I am going to eventually check it out. So it's called Spec Ops Covert Assault. That's another one. But ironically, there is another actual game that I'm like totally fucking down with. As soon as I saw this on the shelves, I marked out Unreal Championship. For like somebody who talks that much shit about first-person shooters and war-based games, and of course I'm going to be like, ooh, Unreal Championship. I'm going to fuck with that. I'll fuck with this, Doom, Duke Nukem, Quake, fucking Wolfenstein. Like, I'll fuck with these. So, Unreal Championship for the Xbox, and only on Xbox. I didn't know that, though. I actually thought that this had a PlayStation port at some point. So I can fuck with that. Now, me being the nerd that I am, of course I had to pick up a Star Wars based game. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, Obi-Wan? Hello there. I definitely have to pick this up because it's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is my only hope. There's some other shit. There's some other shit that I could probably say about fucking Star Wars, but you should know enough. I'm that much of a nerd. I'm going to fucking be down with Star Wars. Hell, if I'm willing to get Empire Strikes Back for the Atari 2600, I'm gonna fucking get something for the Xbox. Another only on Xbox game, Mech Assault, which, if you know me, I'm a fan of Mech Warrior, I'm a fan of Armored Core, and this is definitely one of those things that I have to add into my repertoire. And the final one that I ended up picking up, and this is probably one that you guys don't know a whole lot about, but I'm gonna fucking put you on Front Street with this shit. For the Atari 2600, Sword Quest Earthworld. If you don't know about this, well, you apparently don't know anything about adventure. Or you didn't watch the video about it from Angry Video Game Nerd. This has some lore to it. Not just this one. This was actually one of what was supposed to be 4 games that came in back to back to back. Ironically, also, I found this sitting on top of a other legendary fucking 2600 game. It was literally sitting on top of fucking ET, which I already have, so I don't need to get an extra one. But, I think 1 is bad enough. Having 2, I think, would just corrupt my entire fucking world. But anyways, yeah, so the lore behind this game, among others, there are 4 of these games that were supposed to come out. Only 2 of them did, and there was a third one that was in production, but sold limited due to the video game market crash in 1983. So what this game basically entails is that when you bought this game brand new, it came with a manual, a comic book, and in the game you actually this is not just a gaming adventure. This was a real adventure with real treasure, and I'm not kidding. So the idea behind this game as well as the other three. So there was Fire World, Water World, and Air World, which Air World doesn't exist. But basically, in the game, there are things that you're supposed to do, mini games to complete, and when you complete the mini games, you end up getting a code of some sort, right? So you would be like, okay, 16:4 would pop up. So in the comic book, you would take a look at page 16, panel 4, and panel 4 on page 16 would have a hidden word or something like that. And so like you were supposed to complete the game, find all 10 of the find 15 of the clues, 5 of which were fake, and then you were supposed to unscramble the words to have a message. You send that message over to Atari and you would be in the finals for a prize. The finalist would end up getting said prize. And the prize was real shit. So for Earthworld, you ended up getting a talisman, like a little pendant that was made out of gold and had fucking rhinestones in it, like real shit. Let's see, I think Fire World had similar shit where you were gonna get a golden chalice made with with some bling on it. And then there was also let's see, to complete Water World, you would get a crown that also had some fucking bling on it. And then let's see, I think in Air World you were supposed to, the final drip was supposed to be the fucking Philosopher's Stone, which was like a gold and platinum fucking rock with a bunch of fucking stones in it. And then those 4 finalists would get together to play one other game. And the winner would end up getting a sword that was gold, that had a gold fucking handle and silver fucking a silver soul a silver base, like the whole fucking sword was silver, and then it also was blinged the fuck out as well. And unfortunately, because of the crash, the last 3 items were not in play. This was a total amount of $150,000 in items that were going out. Real shit. Like this was real fucking shit that they made. And unfortunately, from what I found out, the guy who won the talisman ended up selling it, and fucking it's been melted down. The gemstones have been taken out of it and put into other things. But the guy who has the chalice still has the chalice. Unfortunately, Atari ended up having to sell, and they sold it to Jack Tramiel, who was working for Warner Brothers at the time. Rumor has it that he still has the sword and it was hanging up above his fireplace mantle. Whatever happened to the crown and the Philosopher's Stone is currently, as far as I know, unknown. But I haven't really looked that deep into it. But think about that. Like, this was the beginning of all of that. Everybody who had this in their Ataris had the capability of fucking winning. Like, that's some fucking shit right there. Who was that high at Atari to think this up, to think of these clues, to think of the fucking comics, and to do all of that shit and spend that much money just for gamers? Like, that is the shit. And people think that being a gamer is a fucking joke. Unfortunately, I was only 6 months old when this first started happening, but it is what it is. Actually, no, I was 6 months old when it stopped happening. I should say I was born in late 1982. But anyways, yeah, enough about that. You guys know as well as I do, I am very proud of having all of the stuff that I have, and I'm very grateful because even the ad revenue that I get from you fuckers watching my shit attributes to this, as well as my own fucking pocket loot. Anyways, let's go on to the news, shall we? Let's see what we've got going on here, because I'm sure I've got a lot, and so let's just go into it. Now, first and foremost, if you haven't figured this out, today is Mother's Day. So, your mom. I don't have anything else besides that. Your mom. Tell your mom Happy Mother's Day if you haven't already. Because god damn it, I did. You know, the funny, like, I'll actually tell you this. I'll actually tell you what happened this morning. So, like, I stayed up all night last night playing fucking Sims. If you don't follow me on Twitch, you should. I'm playing the fucking Sims and a bunch of other stuff, including the shit that I just bought. But anyways, yeah. So instead of staying up till 3 and then going to bed, wake up at 6:30 in the morning to go pick up my son for visitation, I decided to stay up all night last night and I played the fucking Sims. Pretty good game. Actually, ended up getting a wife and getting a kid and doing that shit and totally losing touch with all of my fucking Sim friends just by raising a baby and my job. This sounds like real life. Anyways, so yeah, because that's exactly what happened with my first daughter. Ended up losing my job and became a stay-at-home dad. Found fucking YouTube and tried to become a YouTube superstar doing that shit. And that didn't work out so hot. Maybe. I don't know. It only took 15 years to fucking figure out what the fuck I'm doing or not caring. But nevertheless, so I go upstairs. I have to grab something from the attic before I leave, and I come downstairs. And my mom slaps me on the shoulder. I'm like, "What? What was that for?" She goes, "You know what today is, right?" I go, "Yeah, it's Mother's Day." She goes, I go, "Hi." It's the first fucking thing I thought of, and she slapped me again. And she's like, "You're such an asshole." And I was like, "Of course, I'm my father's son. It's in the blood." And then I gave her a big hug and I told her Happy Mother's Day. Like, I fucking did that. Like, it wouldn't be me to not give my mom shit, even on Mother's Day, you know? Like, come on. Like, so if you're that level of an asshole, there's something that you could possibly do for next year, because that shit's funny as fuck. My mom beat the shit out of me my whole fucking life, so, you know, it is what it is. So yeah, happy Mother's Day to your mom. Tell her I'll be home later, and make sure that she keeps the fucking meatloaf hot. So with that being said, let's go on to the next thing. I don't want to make this whole thing about Mother's Day. We got some other important issues because, like, now not only is it Mother's Day, but we also have the loss of a legend, and I have to fucking talk about it. It's fucking Sabu Terry Brunk of Bombay, Michigan, the nephew of the original Sheik who ran the fucking big time wrestling back in the day. Actually got his start along with Rob Van Dam and Dropkick Daryl Daniels, if you don't know who that is. If you don't know, well, why are you watching Jug shit? Dropkick Daryl Daniels is a fucking legend, goddammit, but not as much as Sabu. Now, growing up watching wrestling, I never really got to watch much of Sabu until after the big runs and shit like that. But I got to know about the legend of Sabu. And I do remember during the fucking Shangri-La era, he was basically living with ICP and Twisted during their fucking Shangri-La tours. He would fucking run, you know, he'd be on the independent scene, you know, just like they would just walk into fucking shows and be like, you know, let us fucking do it in, throw some gimmicks, and, you know, stab somebody with a fucking spike. You know, Sabu had one of the most aggressive fucking wrestling styles anybody has ever seen. This dude was more than willing to fucking put himself at risk. Hell, there was that time where he was I think he was in a three-way dance, um, and he ended up fucking getting his neck wrapped around the barbed wire and was choking him out while fucking poking him to death. You could see this man had a lot of battle scars, and uh, I'm not saying that fucking, you know, what is it? Like, I'm not being haphazard about what I'm saying. Like, he literally was scarred the fuck up. I guess I think the biggest one that he had was on his fucking bicep, where his entire bicep was fucking cut the fuck open, and he just took some super glue and taped around it. That's why he always had the tape around his arm. That had always been a thing since he fucking fucked up his bicep. And he continued to wrestle, like, no matter what. Like, it didn't matter how fucking cut up he was, or if he was supposed to fucking go to the hospital, or if he was supposed to fucking let his wounds heal. He'd be back onto the ring, later on. Now, I'm not sure. I didn't see anybody give out an autopsy report on what happened to Sabu. Rumor has it, like, there was somebody who told me that it was a heart attack that was COVID related. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, the heart attack sounds more drug related than anything else. Because if you listen to the fucking audiobook from ICP, Violent J talks about when he was on tour, it was like him and Sabu and Sonny and Chris Candido, and all three of those guys were on fucking somas trying to cook hot dogs on a grill on the beach and all that shit. They're all soma'd the fuck out. And I can understand why, because for Sabu specifically, because I can only imagine an unbearable amount of pain that man's body has gone through his entire fucking career. But 60 short years of life, like that sucks ass. The guy ripped his arm open with barbed wire during a match, and he taped the arm back. I was just saying that. Yeah, I was just talking about that. Like, he super glued it shut, and that was it. So, but like, I remember watching him when he came into the WWE umbrella for ECW, which I thought was fantastic. Unfortunately, they phased out all the hardcore shit. And what's Sabu gonna fucking do without hardcore shit? Like, Sabu, yes, Sabu can wrestle, and he still has a pretty aggressive way of wrestling in a professional wrestling ring without all the hardcore gimmicks. However, it's more fun to watch him doing shit like the Arabian Facebuster and anything else that man can do with a fucking chair is nothing short of phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Something happened to my fucking TV. But anyways, yeah. So there was a video that I came across. Like, Taz ended up fucking jumping on when Taz found out about the news. He ended up fucking going to Twitter. He ended up posting a video, and hopefully it'll play on my fucking television, because for some reason my TV just went black. But here's what Taz had to say about Sabu.
Hey guys, what's up? Come to you with a heavy heart right now. As many of you might have heard, unfortunately, the legendary, the great Sabu has passed away last night, I believe, at the age of 60.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart. I literally was just watching a video late last night. I was just messing around on YouTube, and then I saw an interview he did like a year ago, Sabu, and his sense of humor, just, I know it, like, he had me laughing, and I was just watching this interview that was old. Like, I was just thinking about him. It was just last night, literally last night, and then I got this news today.
Isn't that how it goes? It's like, you don't think about somebody for a very long time, and then you bring it up in your head, and then something happened to him. Dude, fucking Sabu wrestled for everybody. Like, if it was a fucking wrestling organization, I'm pretty sure Sabu wrestled for him. But I do believe he did wrestle for Combat Zone. He also did a lot of shit in Japan. Like, after his debut, like, he ended up fucking doing some shit in Japan, and that's where he got his fucking name popularized. And then with ECW changing up from Eastern to Extreme Championship Wrestling, as they were trying to phase out ECW with Paulie's blessing, like Todd Gordon's blessing to Paulie Dangerously to shake things up in the 90s. And he brought in Sabu. Sabu looked like a guy who would fight you to the fucking death. Like, they had him like chained up on a gurney, and then they would let him go, and he would just fucking bolt into the ring. And Peter Sinercha here, Taz, he ended up like, that was his debut match, and it was only his job. His only job as the Tasmaniac was to fucking get Sabu over, because Sabu was getting that major mega fucking push. But because of how things went between them in the ring, Taz got the rub.
From some ECW guys. Look,
I mean, with all due respect, I mean, fucking Taz is definitely fucking very talented in his own right. In which, by the way, Taz got fucked over hardcore in WWE when he got called up. His biggest fucking run was getting the ECW title while he was still in WWF.
I would not have had the career that I have had, and I've been blessed to have, if it wasn't for Sabu. Like, that man got me over, and he didn't have to get me over, and he did.
Yeah, he did.
I
mean, like, his debut match in ECW, like I said, that was the rub. Like, he was supposed to get Sabu over, and Sabu got him over instead. Like, Sabu was pretty much already established, but Taz being a fucking, up and comer in ECW, and the fucking rivalry between these two is absolutely timeless. Like, between him and Taz, between Sabu and fucking Rob Van Dam, but I personally think that his feud, his rivalry with Taz was so much more epic. Like, Taz calling out Sabu when Sabu is in Japan, and he's calling him out for like a whole fucking year. He's like doing he's like putting people up in the fucking Kaja Hajime, the Taz mission, calling them Sabu while doing it. It was just like so obsessive in that fucking story. And then like Taz comes out, the lights go out, the lights come back on, and there's fucking Sabu pointing up and fucking just blew the roof off of the ECW arena that night.
We both debuted for ECW in 1993 in the ECW arena against each other. Many know that, but you don't know, like, he was the guy who was getting the big push. He was going to be, Heyman wanted to push the heck out of him, and rightfully so.
And that's another thing too, is like the original FTW belt, both Taz and Sabu are the only two people I believe who have ever held that title, which is pretty unique in my view, because it really shows how close they are.
My job was to come in for one match and wrestle him and put him over, and Sabu didn't have to let me do anything in that match. He could have just, it was about him, not about me, and he was so grateful to me. And I'll never forget
it could have been a squash.
Even though it became very deep rivalry, love-hate type thing, but more love than hate. He got me over. Like, he got me over every time we stepped in the ring or anything we did. Like, when I came back with my injury, like, without him, I would not have accomplished anything. But what Sabu has accomplished in his career has been amazing. This guy is amazing, and he's just a great-hearted soul. I'm going to miss him immensely. I feel horrible about this.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, my brother Sabu. Please, rest in peace.
See, that's so fucking lovely that he ends up putting it out there like that, even if you hate the guy, you can't not respect him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not just talking about Taz. I'm talking about Sabu here. Sabu is a fucking legend in hardcore wrestling, up there with Terry Funk and Mick Foley. He definitely is a hardcore legend in his own right. And it really sucks because, like, this happened, like, I was thinking about this before I even started the show. When I first found out about it, I was like, he fucking died within a month after his fucking retirement. Like, do you think the possibility is that now that he's slowed down and finally decided to retire, that he slowed down so badly that his body just didn't know how to fucking take it? Like, to me, that just seemed like it made the most sense. It was like, yeah, Sabu Jamama through a coffee table. And, like, that was another first taste of Sabu when I first heard that shit, because by that time, Sabu was already an ECW legend. When that reference was made in What is a Juggalo. And the reason being, like, I think the reason being that he ended up mentioning Sabu in the fucking song anyways is due to the fact that, like, Sabu started in the in the Detroit scene along with Rob Van Dam. That was their first night. It was also Violent J's first night as Dropkick Daryl Daniels. Oops, kayfabe dropped. But anyways, like, just, so, like, those three have been relatively close since then. And now there's I mean, like, I wouldn't say necessarily that there's a huge void in the sport of professional wrestling, because for one, Sabu retired and there's so many other people that have come and gone over the years. um it's just that, like, he left a huge fucking legacy. I actually had to think about that on the spot just here. Sabu left a fucking legacy in the sport of professional wrestling. I feel like in hardcore wrestling and the way that he fucking did his shit, there is a fucking high bar that Sabu has placed. Now, with the Juggalo community as well, like, like I said before, it is obvious that, Sabu is a fucking Juggalo. He wrestled in JCW. He also toured with ICP during the fucking Shangri-La tour, and it's like, and I loved that because he had the fucking genie pants where it would normally have a camel. He put a hatchet man on it, and I was like, that is some fucking dope shit. That he represented the hatchet in his own right, and even in some other fucking wrestling promotions. Like, he didn't do it in WWE. He didn't do it in a lot of the more popular fucking shit. But, like, in the underground, he definitely was representing Juggalos to the fucking core. Which is dope shit. Like, I have to fucking talk about this because it is, in fact, Juggalo related news. But it's unfortunate. But I feel like that, like, his body he finally slowed his body down, and his body just didn't know how to fucking take it and rejected it. So the only thing was just like, oh, you want to slow down, so we're gonna do the ultimate slow down. But I don't know exactly what it is that was the cause of death. Like I said, it's rumored that it was a heart attack based off of COVID, but no one cares about COVID anymore. COVID no longer exists. COVID's no longer a thing, except for the people who wear masks in their cars still to this day. Um, Personally, I think that, with a combination of the high octane wrestling that he does, mixed with all the fucking pain pills and other drugs that he's taken over the course of time, once he retired and finally slowed down and he's no longer in the ring and he hung up the boots, that's actually what fucking caused it. It was just like a fucking anaphylactic shock to his body, so his body just didn't know how to fucking handle not having fucking pain and drugs and pills and drugs and alcohol and drugs. It is what it is. And like I said before in the past, when it concerns death, I have a weird way of fucking handling it by making jokes. But nevertheless, I gotta say, I gotta put out some respect for the fucking homie. I'm not gonna. So yeah. So definitely gotta do this. Gotta pour one out for the fucking homie. It's actually in a cup because I'm not making a mess. This attracts ants. So, yeah. I don't have a mop down here, so it's definitely... I'm pouring it into a fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cup. If it fucking said Sabu on it, that would be much better. So rest in peace, Sabu. I'm sure that he's going to have a fucking hell of a good time. Yeah, make a mess like Sarah. I'm not doing that. Dude, I've watched Sarah's shit, and I just think to myself, man, it's a good thing that she's the one who ends up cleaning up all the mess, because if I was Jay and she just left it like that, I'd be pissed. But he's like, whatever, it is what it is for TikTok. And that's got to be something else that I got to fucking talk about. I'll probably talk about that in a later episode of the Crazy House, because I do notice that Sarah Rusi gets a lot of hate. But rest in peace, Sabu. I hope you enjoy the fucking ECW arena in the sky along with Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge and Chris Candido. How much you want to bet that he's probably going to end up being, they're going to try to induct him into the WWE Hall of Fame next year. It's probably going to fucking happen. Yeah, he did his Hall of Fame stuff and died the next day. I think with the Warrior, like the Warrior was sitting on that shit for the longest fucking time, and he's just like, I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna die until I get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And then he was just like, 60 is an old man for a wrestler. Dude, fucking nah, dude. Like, take a look at fucking Ric Flair. Yes, and New Jack. New Jack is definitely in the fucking big ECW arena in the sky. And Chris Candido, and Rocco Rock, and Johnny Grunge, and the Pitbull Gary Wolf, Crash Holly, Big Dick Dudley, Balls Mahoney. If I'm missing somebody else, just put it up in the chat while we continue on with the other things. But yeah, dude, like the ECW originals are which is surprising, slowly but surely going away. That right there in and of itself will become the end of an era. But it seems like a lot of them are now really starting to take better care of themselves. Let's see. Yeah, let's go on to the next thing. So the next piece of news that I got is, so as of tomorrow, the Insane Clown Posse on tour is, I don't even know what the fuck. They never put a fucking name out for this. So, like, starting tomorrow and Monday in Cleveland, Ohio, on the 12th, they're going to be at the Agora Theater in, on their Insane Clown Posse on tour. That's what I'm calling it. And it turns out that according to Fago Lovers, Cronus and Axel Rotten. Axel Rotten died? Huh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's what I'm calling it. It's the ICP on tour. Anyways, yeah, so like this was the list of all of the dates that they had for the month of May, and it's starting tomorrow, starting at Cleveland, and then the end of this leg ends up being at Liverpool, New York at Sharky's on the 25th. But it turns out that they have additional dates, so they ended up adding more. They got more dates, and it's a second leg in the month of June. So we're going to go through this list. Starting on the 10th, they're going to be at Nashville, Tennessee at the Brooklyn Bowl. And then on the 11th, they're going to Chattanooga at the Signal. On the 12th, Manchester, Tennessee, Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival. That's funny that they actually just put that up on there. Yeah, so like I've also been talking about the Bonnaroo Boogaloo in previous episodes. But that's that's a big ass festival. So they're only doing that for that one night, and then they're moving on to Birmingham, Alabama, on the 13th for at the Avondale Brewing Company. I'm surprised that they're fucking doing it at a brewery, in a microbrewery restaurant. On the 14th, they're in Little Rock, Arkansas at the Hall. On the 15th of June, it's Kansas City, Missouri. They're in Missouri at the Truman. All right, so and like I've got, like as I'm dropping these cities, I'm thinking of the homies that I know have the possibility of fucking going to these places. So let's see, the next one on the 17th, they take a day off on the 16th on 616, and then they go to Omaha, Nebraska on the 17th at the Admiral Theater. We keep losing people like Sabu and Daphne, but yet Hogan is still doing Hogan things. Hogan is here for the purpose of having somebody to look at and be like, this is what you need to not do in life, is be this fucking guy. I don't know why Hogan is still alive, but I don't know. I guess it does pay off to say your prayers and eat your Vicodins and date somebody that's about the same age as your fucking daughter. I guess that's the case. So then they take the 18th off, and then they go back out on the 19th. They're going to be at Green Bay, Wisconsin, for the Epic Event Center. On the 20th, Minneapolis. I always pronounce that wrong. I always say Minneapolis. It's Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the Fillmore. On the 21st, they go back to Wisconsin at Milwaukee for the rave, and then on the 22nd, they close it out at Bridgeview, Illinois, at the Lyrical Lemonade Summer Smash Bash Trash. I don't know what the fuck, but nevertheless, yeah, Daphne Unger fucking dying. Yeah, that was that was definitely something that, like, dude, I had such a crush on Daphne Unger, like, no fucking lie. And when I found out that she committed suicide, man, I was so disappointed. I didn't get to hit. I didn't get to smash that. I would have, man. Chicks with fucking mental issues have the craziest fucking sex. But Daphne, man, there was just something about Daphne. I will say that Hogan is someone to make Flair not look not as bad. Flair can do Flair things, but at least he ain't Hogan, right? It's like, dude, like back in the day during the fucking during the shit with fucking drunken peasants. It's like, dude, you could fucking steal a car. You could steal a car, hit the guy who owned the car you just stole with the car you just stole, fucking run it through a mall, run over a couple of fucking people, set a couple buildings on fire in the process, throwing Molotov cocktails out the fucking window. But and just be the most decrepit piece of shit in the world. But at least you ain't Brett Keane. Flair can do Flair things, but at least he ain't Hulk Hogan. That's at the best. Like, and it really sucks too, because growing up being a fucking Hulkamaniac, it was just like, what the fuck. I find that kind of sad. So those are the lists. Those are the fucking lists of the for the second leg of the tour, and tickets are already selling right now. So if you want to go see some fat rapping clowns and see the Clowny Daggers, make sure that you fucking check out information at the website psychopathicrecords.com. I'm sure that they'll have a link there to go to Tix to get your money, to get your fucking money, and have Tix.com completely fucking rape your wallet because of the fees, and the shipping fees, and the just because fees, and the fuck you, what are you going to do about a fee, and the digital fee, as well as fucking sales tax. All right, so next thing, I saw this on, so the next thing is actually this. I saw this at on Instagram, and so this is the legend of the Gathering Grounds. So if you have, like, this is something that we've seen many a time, but they have a little bit of a legend right here that shows where all the shit is. I find this interesting that why do the stages keep fucking changing in their locations and shit? You know? Yeah, they got let's see, where is it? Do they have Bizarre World? Where the fuck is it? Is that a part of let's see. Yeah, actually they have carnival rides right here. Yep, this is the same spot that they had before. They apparently they didn't have this last year, but they brought back the fucking zip line. So I'm curious to see how that is. They brought in a movie tent. See, they actually added Juggalos in Recovery as a actual spot. So I guess for those that want that fucking Narcan, there you go. Bigfoot Stomping Ground, Loons Woods Campground. It's basically all of the shit that you would normally see. The Bizarro World, I have no idea what the fuck that's supposed to be. Is that supposed to be? Yeah, it's at the tail end of Merch Row. So I'm assuming it might have something to do with that. Now, like, where Bizarro World is sitting at, that's normally where I usually see Fago Gang dropping their shit. Willie Hayes and them fucking selling their wares. There's only one med tent, which is in this butterfly campground area. Does anybody actually camp in the butterfly campground area? Because the first time that I went to Legend Valley, this whole place was closed off. And it had something to do with trying to keep it away from lake hepatitis. The wheel was there for a few years. Yeah, doesn't your sister fucking run the wheel, bro? I was a week ago years old when I figured that out. And that was due to the fucking GPK pictures that Deck One Delta's been putting out. I never fucking correlated the two, but I do remember the first time I went to Legend Valley, which by the way was not my first gathering. I will mind you that. Me and the homegirl Snaps ended up fucking bringing one of her friends with us because I guess she likes festivals, but she's not a juggalo. And her being, yeah, you probably didn't. No, like what I remember, like you tried. I think you tried, and I was like, fuck that. I'm seasoned well enough to know what the fucking wheel entails, and I will never fucking spin the wheel because I feel like most of the stuff that involves the wheel involves stuff that I'm not into, like booze. But anyways, yeah, so like we ended up getting her homegirl to fucking spin the fucking wheel because she's an idiot. And what ended up happening is she ended up fucking having one of her dreads cut off. Ziplining by your dangus. Look, the guys that used to run it were real fucked up. I don't doubt it. But I mean, keeping in mind this was like 4 years ago, you know? But it's like I'm seasoned well enough to know not to spin the fucking wheel. I will never fucking spin the wheel. I don't care. I like they don't gather anymore. Is Little Ballers closer to main stage? Yes, actually they are right behind the fucking the food vendors. So like in this general area right here is where the Little Ballers is. Right over here is the Big Ballers campsite, which is actually where I was fucking kicking it last year. Yeah, I fear the wheel. Absolute fucking utter fear. The wheel owns you. I guess so. But it's like I know what half that shit fucking entails. So it's like I'm going against I'm going against my worst judgment and not spinning the fucking wheel. And trust me, if I see you guys, I will fucking hang out with you because, where the wheel is, that's where Swill is going to be. You're a vet, so you get a pass. And apparently, according to some people on fucking Twitch, I'm a fucking legend in this community. So it's like, dude, don't give me that shit. I don't need a bigger head than I already have. you know? I guess I'm a legend in some cases, but yeah, I'm definitely on that get off my lawn shit. And last year, by the way, like I was kicking it with people in the Big Ballas site, which was actually pretty fucking dope. Which is pretty fucking dope. Um, but yeah, so like this has why is there a fucking food vendor right here where okay, that's the main entrance. Okay, so that's where we come in. No camping. Bullshit, no camping. Hey, what up, 89? Yeah, bullshit, no camping. People will fucking camp here or just lay in their fucking cars. But yep, so here's their fuck this hill, by the way. Like in this general area, fuck that hill. This spot right here is a hill, and fuck it. For people that don't have tickets. Ah, okay, yeah. So either that or it's like, okay, if you park back here, this is a pretty long trek, especially for fat and out of shape ninjas. And like they need a fucking glizzy here at this food vendor. But then you've also got these three vendors. Normally, right around this general area is where they have like biscuits and gravy. Like from what I hear, you don't want to fucking get your food here. But in this general area right here, I believe, yeah, actually, there's supposed to be a fucking pizza joint not too far away from this area, I believe. And then there was another one here last year where it was like they had that fucking specialty pizza. That specialty pizza was fucking dope. They had chicken and waffles. They had pickle pizza. That pickle pizza was fire though. Like I spent money at that fucking pizza joint. I just wish it wasn't like $8 a slice. So I'm curious to see what other food they're gonna have there because I am kind of a foodie. You know what I'm saying? But there's very few places that I actually care about. Now this is weird. Like their second stage was back here, right? Right here where the big ball is. Like the second stage was like right here where my mouse cursor is. Is that it now? Did they move it? Because obviously the big stage is right here. It's never gonna fucking move. But it seems like the other two stages are the ones that tend to fucking move around the most. You got and on top of that, it this this looks like the fucking tent. Is the tent gonna fucking be moving? Like the tent is gonna is the seminar tent moving again? Are we gonna have to trek all the way to the back here for the fucking? Because I believe that's the fucking seminar stage. I don't know, but I haven't taken a look at the fucking lister of whatever shit they've got going on, if they've even created an itinerary for it yet. But it just seems to me very weird because that does look like a fucking circus tent. Blurberry smoothies, blurpleberry smoothies. I don't know, but I will say this though, when it concerns fucking artists, last week I ended up fucking talking about one artist that I really want at the Gathering of the Juggalos, and that is Mike Patton. And I have another idea for a fucking like what I feel is a fucking good choice for, if not the band, then at least the type of music that it is. And I actually have a music video that I'm going to show you for a little bit, just for the sake of it, just so you can get a feel of what it is that I'm fucking talking about. If you haven't ever heard of the band the Aquabats, this is definitely one of those things that needs to happen at the gathering. Skirt. Here it comes. Ska! We need ska at the fucking Gathering of the Juggalos. Tell me you can't get fucking hip with this shit. Tell me that you can't fucking get down with this type of shit. See, Swill knows what I'm fucking talking about because he's as old as I am. Yes. Now, one other thing too is, like, I found out this music video is actually directed by Bobcat Goldthwait. It's a cool vibe, but not legendary in the Jug community. I know it's not. Yet. But the Aquabats are a legend in and of their own right. Because, like, the vibe here, like, I'm looking at this shit like, dude, this is a vibe that needs to fucking come to the Gathering of the Juggalos. I mean, we have a variety of different vibes, but this has been something that has just been fucking in my soul for like the last year, listening to all this type of fucking ska punk. The ska punk thing comes and goes. I mean, like, this is probably like the third or fourth wave of ska that came in the fucking mid to late 90s with other bands like Real Big Fish, Mustard Plug. I do actually include the Interrupters as a ska punk band. You know, like, ska punk is definitely one of those things that has that feel good, uppity shit. The Mighty Mighty Boss Tones is another prime example. Basically, it's like they have the same mentality as punk bands where it's like, okay, the world is fucked and I'm angry about it. But with ska punk, it's the world is fucked, I have a trumpet. Scum, yeah. So, like, I want more ska involvement in that, and I feel like that ska being added into the Gathering of the Juggalos has been something completely fucking missed. And it's been like, this would be like the absolute fucking dark horse in the Gathering of the Juggalos. You know what I'm saying? It's a very happy vibe. And for somebody who grew up a metalhead, and I have a huge fucking eclectic taste, I mean, like, I'm down for fucking anything. Like, ska punk with this type of vibe. It's not dark, it's not wicked, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, for God's sakes, I don't see Morris Day and the Time being dark and wicked, but they got over as fuck because it's the fucking Time. It's the closest thing that you could get to having Prince at the Gathering of the Juggalos prior to Prince's death. You know what I'm saying? Because that did happen at Super Gathering. But this type of music, while not dark and wicked, it's very light and upbeat, and I feel like that's definitely one of those things. Until all the trumpets and trombones are covered in soda and rotten fruit. Nah, dude, like, dude, seriously, like, I feel like that this could be one of those things. Like, it probably would happen, but they know, they know to give the bands a little bit of a forewarning. But fuck that shit. Like, come on, dude. Like, I would more than be happy to have a fucking brass section at the Gathering of the Juggalos. Hatchet Man Project is dope as fuck. Now, I personally think that this is one of those things. Like, Mike Patton is one of those bands. Mike Patton and all of the bands that he does, they're very fucking obscure and oblong, very avant-garde and fucked up. And that's why I feel like that would be a good fit for the Gathering of the Juggalos. With this is light and upbeat and funny and very fucking goofy. I mean, look at this. These guys are all willing to look like they have silver fucking condoms on their head. They all look like fucking black condoms with silver dick tips. And they're fucking doing like the whole fucking Superman flying thing in the music video. And they literally fucking dress up like this at their shows. Like, how fucked up would that be? But it's all goofiness. It's the same thing with, like, if they got Tism from Australia to fucking come down just to sing Everyone Else Has Had More Sex Than Me. They look like a bunch of dicks. Flying dicks. And it would be fucking perfect, I think, for the Gathering of the Juggalos. But then again, like, you take a look at the way that some Juggalos fucking react to shit. Like, I mean, we have booed off legends like Too Short and Bubba Sparks and fucking Tila Tequila. Well, she didn't get booed off, but she did get some rocks thrown at her. And apparently bags of piss and shit. And yeah, these dicks definitely fit. These fit right into the fucking Juggalette Ned holes. But like, I feel like that this would be a good fit because of how fucking goofy it is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look how fucking stupid this is. And the breaking up, if you break down the lyricism of this too, it's like the way that the cadence of even this song, Super Rad, is actually very, like, I found that to be very interesting, the way that they fucking put that out. So, like, to me, I think that this would be a fucking good fit. I mean, me personally, I would enjoy the fuck out of seeing not necessarily just Aquabats, but Real Big well, yeah, because Real Big Fish is ska punk as well. Then you have the Aquabats, the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, fucking the Interrupters, as I said before. Like, these are some other bands that I have actually been really getting into, and I listen to them all the fucking time. Catch 22 being another one. I mean, it's not like I'm asking for something like big like Sum 41 or Blink 182. Just the fucking Aquabats. See, like, if you watch this music video, like, this is just fucking goofy. And I feel like that would be something so fucking, I mean, dude, yeah. Like, that was another thing too. Then we get like fucking people dressed up as fucking Transformers doing fucking rock covers and shit. Like, we had some goofy shit. So why not have some guys dressed up like fake discount Party City superheroes doing ska punk and having a trumpet, or a fucking horn section, a whole brass section of people in the shit. Like that would be incredible if you ask me. Like that to me is just what needs to happen. Like, yeah, exactly. Thank you. The Cybertronic spree. Like we had them motherfuckers. Why couldn't we have the Aquabats? Like it seems to me like there's very few to none that get booed off anymore, sans Danny Brown. Like Danny Brown, I think, is the last person that I know of that we actually booed off stage. I mean, shit, fucking DJ Paul was drunk as shit and couldn't get his fucking act together on stage, and we were all taking it in stride. Yeah, I like different. Yeah, everything can't be wicked shit nonstop. I mean, it can't. I mean, it can, but making it wicked shit would just make it monotonous. Like if it was just 24/7 wicked shit playing at the Gathering of the Juggalos, it would just make the wicked shit absolutely monotonous to me. So it's like, okay, if you think, yeah, like put something like the Aquabats in between, like, death and destruction and drugs and failure, and then you've got goofy ass fucking dudes in, fake Superman outfits with a brass section and a fucking Casio keyboard playing fucking pipe organ for some reason. Like No Effects would be interesting too. The separation of church and skate. Static X last year was such a fucking badass show. I missed out on Static X, unfortunately. I slept through that, but I have seen Static X with Wayne Static before. And as a matter of fact, Guido helped them figure out how to get to Drug Bridge at Hog Rock. So, but like I've also seen POD at the Gathering of the Juggalos, and like, oh, POD is like Christian new metal, and they fucking were at the Gathering of the fucking Juggalos. Like they shared a stage with the Ghetto Boys and fucking Master P, so and also George P. Funk Clinton, seen that. So it was like, why not somebody like the Aquabats? Why not somebody like Mike Patton? Like these are me personally, I feel like that these are some serious suggestions that are like from the days of yore in music that we as the OG Juggalos fucking grew up with. I can guarantee you that I'm pretty sure that fucking Gen Z kids that go to the Gathering of the Juggalos now would think this is a bop. Guaranteed. Because they've never really listened to it. And a lot of the new stuff that comes out for kids this day and age sucks fucking dick. Orgy would be dope at the Gathering. I mean, the band. I mean, we've already had Orgy, the fucking activity at the Gathering. It's called a Raw Dog Line. We've had that before. Hell, like, Orgy, the activity, is more of a Juggalo Ohio thing than it is a fucking Gathering of the Juggalos thing. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Damn. This fucking came off of my vape. Exactly. Orgy played the Super 8. But yeah, so like to me, I feel like that this is something that needs to happen at the Gathering of the Juggalos. Maybe not this year at the Gathering of Legends, even though I feel like the Aquabats themselves are legends in their own right. Because like the Aquabats are a little bit less well known in ska punk than a lot of the other bands that I've mentioned otherwise. But nevertheless, I feel like that this would work out fantastic. And then we got to talk about some other things now that we're away from, the Juggalo nonsense. I found this video, and basically what this video is about is so Marvel has come to the realization of the fact that if you go woke, you go broke. I think they finally realized that. You would think that they would have realized that shit when they brought out the Captain Marvel, because I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Captain Marvel was good, but Brie Larson is kind of a fucking bitch. Bloodhound Gang would be another interesting one. I mean, Bloodhound, like from what I understand, like Jimmy Pop, I think is a juggalo, and so is evil Jared Hasselhoff. Um, and I think that would be good for having Bloodhound Gang coming in now that we don't fucking allow Wolfpack in there anymore. Like we need more fun, upbeat bands, and not just like trying to fucking push out newer bands and stuff like that. But Bloodhound Gang would be fucking dope. Not just no, not just Bad Touch. Like you got to remember, Bad Touch isn't their only good song. You got Foxtrot, Uniform, Charlie, Kilo. You got Untis, Untis, Untis. Kiss Me Where It Smells Funny. I Wish I Was Queer so I could get chicks. Bands. Exactly. Now let's move right along. We're going to talk about this next thing. Like I said, I feel like Marvel ended up realizing that their go woke, go broke thing and being pressured by Disney to do more stuff for Disney Plus has not really been in the good for them. And so now they're doing a whole fucking overhaul. Here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cosmic Wonder. The Wall Street Journal just released a very important article that I think...
Okay, so if you don't know who that is, underneath the mask, it's Tony Stark.
Every Marvel fan needs to hear what they said, because they talk about how Marvel Studios has just reevaluated everything that they have done basically over the past 5 years and have decided to completely switch up everything that they are doing. This article talks...
It's about fucking time too, because like I feel like that a lot of the stuff that was said in Deadpool and Wolverine, like about the whole multiverse thing, like that was a pretty meta speech, basically explaining, Deadpool saying that the whole thing is just not working in their favor with the multiverse thing, with the multiverse saga. So they were like, so he said, let's just take the L and move on. Oh God, doing that song at the Gathering of the Juggalos would be absolutely phenomenal. But I don't think that they would be down for it. I mean, if you really think about it, the fucking girl in the story is, I mean that's the major down point of the song.
Talks about how
especially at the very end of the song. Make that the last fucking song, so a whole bunch of fucking newbie juggalos don't really understand what the hell's going on. And then when they get hit with that last fucking line of the song, it's not enough time for them to get booed off stage because it's the last song in the fucking set.
Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, was basically pressured by Disney to create streaming content. They talk about how he was...
I mean, yeah, and dude, because of that, mixing that with fucking COVID, there is so much shit that we have missed out on. Because this is the main fucking thing. Because you have, you had WandaVision, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you had the What Ifs, you had Hawkeye, Loki, and this piece of shit, which only explains why adamantium fucking exists. But you had some of these other good movies, Black Widow. You had Black Widow, Thor: Love and Thunder. I love the Doctor Strange series so fucking much. I wish that they would not have so many stretches of space in between the Doctor Strange films, but it's dope that they have this. And then Shang-Chi. I feel like that there's a missed opportunity with Shang-Chi because Shang-Chi didn't have its sequel like it was supposed to. But Disney Plus basically was convincing, basically talked Marvel into making all of these TV shows for the app, and then somehow in some way, all of these fucking shows are supposed to tie in with the movies. Hell, even in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, there's a reference to something that goes on in WandaVision in that movie. So basically what's happening is in order to understand what's going on with fucking Scarlet Witch in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, you have to watch WandaVision. But in order to watch WandaVision, you have to have Disney Plus. And Disney Plus is like $14.99 a month. And then to understand why the multiverse fucking thing exists, if you don't watch Loki, then you think it's because of what happened in fucking Spider-Man 3. And then with like, I think it's like the end of the Marvels, you have to watch Hawkeye. Hell, watching the Marvels in general, you have to watch Miss Marvel. Like, you have to watch all of these shows in order to understand what the fuck is going on in the multiverse. And then because of Loki and what happened with Loki, or what happened in Spider-Man 3, creates the infinite parallel universes that creates the, Marvel's What If. Which, don't get me wrong, I love What If. Like, What If is an epic fucking series. And then on top of that, it's also spurning off Marvel Zombies, which is going to be another thing that I'm going to watch too. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I love Marvel to a point where I was willing to plink down coin just to get Disney Plus so I could keep up with everything that's going on. But at some point or another, like, for the uninitiated, it's almost like it's a fucking chore.
Spread way too thin, and many people working on shows and movies had to run in the hallways to try and find him to just get a second of his time so he could approve or disapprove or give his input on certain projects.
And this is another thing too, like Marvel's Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, like, this definitely screamed, like, at some point it definitely felt like it screamed woke. Because, like, the whole concept of like, at the end of Endgame, Falcon was given the shield. He was supposed to be the next Captain America. And he turns it down because he doesn't think that people are going to be able to see him the same way that they saw Captain America, because Captain America's blonde hair, blue eyes, white dude, fucking basically, like, just like stand up citizen, upright citizen American versus a black dude with no super soldier serum, and that ends up becoming like the whole fucking side quest, which ends up fucking introducing like this whole thing with, like, he doesn't think that he's going to be looked at as a positive fucking replacement for Captain America just because he's black, and he's worried about what other people are going to think looking at him when they see a black Captain America. When the original Captain America, the original guy who was supposed to be the next Captain America, was also black, but they fucking tortured the shit out of him because he, the super soldier serum actually worked well on him. And it was like, come on, dude, what the hell is all of this? And then so they end up getting another blue-eyed, blonde-haired white guy who's a dick. But it turns out that he ends up being U.S. agent nevertheless. Which I guess that ends up spawning off the capability of him being in the Thunderbolts, which is another thing that you have to fucking watch in order to understand what the hell's going on in the Thunderbolts movie. So you have to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier in order to understand half of what's going on in Thunderbolts. And then the other half of it has to do with fucking Black Widow. So, like, you have to watch Black Widow in order to understand the Thunderbolts. So, like, if you only watched Black Widow but you didn't watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus, then you're only going to understand half of what the fuck's going on in the Thunderbolts movie. Let's see. I see they are making Avengers Doomsday, 2 movies now, May 26th and December 26th. So that's interesting. I didn't hear about that. I'm today years old figuring that out, which is pointless because, like, I know that Doomsday is one, and then there's supposed to be like Secret Wars after that, I believe.
Talk about how the people at Marvel Studios talked about Marvel and superhero fatigue. They talk about why they did everything they have done recently, including bringing Robert Downey Jr. back as Dr. Doom. And
I mean, we already know why he brought him back as Dr. Doom. He was supposed to be Dr. Doom in the other Fantastic Four movie with fucking Captain America as Johnny Blaze. But like the other main reason was because, well, Kang the Conqueror got fucking conquered by prison or something, or litigation, so they fired him. And they're like, well, what do we do now? We already fucking booked this movie coming out in 2025, the Kang Dynasty, which sucks that it's not happening anymore. Like, fuck it, I don't care what he did. Finish the goddamn story and then fire him, because he is a fucking character that's happening in this fucking storyline. How the hell are you gonna rewrite everything? Kang the Conqueror did not get fucking, like, having one version of Kang killed in fucking Ant-Man Quantumania does not mean that all of them were fucking gone. I mean, it showed the whole fucking, Kang dynasty, every single Kang meeting together to fucking discuss what the hell's going on. And then the same thing with Loki season 2 when they brought in Victor Timely, and even though they killed off like He Who Remains, and that was what was opening up the fucking multiverse to begin with, was killing He Who Remains, because he was the lock and key of the entire fucking multiverse to stop the fucking spread of the sacred timeline. So like, bruh, like, just no.
Making Avengers King Dynasty, Avengers Doomsday. But most importantly, they talk about their plans moving forward. They acknowledge the issues of the past and are moving forward in a great way, and I think everybody needs to hear what is being said in.
Okay, so far they have done Werewolf by Night. They just finished up Daredevil Born Again. Quantumania is done. She-Hulk was done, and She-Hulk was dog shit half the time. Echo was actually not that bad. Wakanda Forever was kind of but like with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, like they took the real life element of Chadwick Boseman dying and making it so Black Panther fucking dies. And I guess they were like, well, we can do whatever we want because the MCU is technically the sacred timeline. And then Blade has been pushed off to the shelf. Armor Wars is not coming out until later. Armor Wars, what I think was supposed to come out, but COVID. Blade is like, Armor Wars is supposed to be a fucking TV show. Ironheart's also supposed to be a TV show, and Blade was supposed to come out probably, I think, last year or this year, and it never fucking did. I think it got pushed back just due to whatever fucking reason. But hey, we got Blade in fucking Deadpool and Wolverine. But all the other shit, and Werewolf by Night is interesting because, like, the Monster series, I feel like that they're not doing enough for that series. But like, you can see, if you know your Marvel history and your fucking chronology and timelines and all of the groups and all that other shit, like, you could see a whole bunch of other groups that were fucking coming in and compiling together. You want the Gambit movie now? Dude, I do believe that there is supposed to be a Gambit movie like in the works now.
This article,
because they're going to be focusing more on the X-Men series and the mutant that mutant agenda. They have an agenda, and it's the mutant agenda. So like, Gambit's probably going to finally get his own fucking Cajun-filled, Creole fucking movie. So I bet you it's going to, like, having Gambit in a fucking movie, you're going to need subtitles throughout the entire fucking film.
cool. So let's go ahead and break it all down.
All right.
The article itself is titled, Disney wanted more from Marvel, now it wants less.
Yeah, because they fucked around and they found out. They fucked around with putting too much fucking content on there and not having enough time to fulfill it all. And now they fucking realize how badly they fucked up. From what I understand, the Secret Wars and Doomsday are supposed to revolve around basically fucking Dr. Doom bringing heroes and villains from his universe to go after the sacred timeline, because apparently, like, he has convinced everybody that the sacred timeline is more evil than they, you know.
Hero Studio is cutting back
So thus produced the cleansing.
TV production and fixing its film slate after fans lost the plot. Now, right away, the article basically addresses and confirms what all of us fans thought all along. They state the head of Marvel Studios, speaking of Kevin Feige, told colleagues recently that watching all the comic book giants' new TV shows and films had started to feel more like homework than entertainment.
I mean, in a way, that is true. Because it like once you like when you start from the very beginning, which I have done multiple fucking times, like starting from when you start from Iron Man, the first Iron Man to come out, and you try to work all the way through all of the other shit that you have to fucking watch. You have to watch all of the fucking movies. You have to watch Agent Carter, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Cloak and Dagger, The Inhumans, you know, and some other, you know, TV shows hither and yon that they have put out throughout different fucking TV companies, you know, like each one had its own, you know, was on a different app. You know, and it was an exclusive thing, or and the Defenders series on Netflix. Don't forget about that. You know, so like you had to watch all of these other different shows if you really wanted to fucking get that deeply involved in it. And like Agent Carter had like 2 seasons. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had like 7, and they fucking make reference, like all of these TV shows make certain references to things that have happened in the MCU movies, but they aren't like, it isn't necessarily like you have to fucking watch these shows in order to understand what's going on in the fucking movies. Like that was the beauty of those shows. It's like they were good as standalone shows that really didn't have any involvement with what was going on in the fucking in the movie series. But like once you got to the multiverse, then, like I said before, it's like you had to watch WandaVision. You had to watch Falcon and the Super Soldier. You had to watch Loki. You had to watch Hawkeye. You had to watch, like, the only one that really didn't have any involvement in the multiverse saga that was on TV that was actually good to watch was Moon Knight. Moon Knight was like the only standalone show that you could watch without having any involvement with any of the movies in the multiverse saga or any of the other TV shows. Like Moon Knight was probably the only one, and it was badass as fuck, and they left it on a fucking cliffhanger, and it was really fucking good. But like watching all of the other, hell, even watching Echo, you had to know what the fuck was going on in Hawkeye to understand Echo. And then Hawkeye, you have to understand by watching the entire fucking MCU. You know, all of the MCU movies, like from Thor all the way to fucking Endgame. You know, like to understand who is Hawkeye? Why is Hawkeye the way that he is? Like specifically, you would have to watch Endgame specifically. Well, at least not like, yeah, you would have to watch Infinity War and Endgame in order to understand what the fuck is going on with the main storyline with the whole Ronin gear in Hawkeye. I don't care if I'm dropping spoilers. I'm just putting it out there. That's why they say that it feels more like homework, because it's like you have to watch these shows in order to know what the fuck's going on in the movies. They correlate the fucking events of the shows into the movies, except Moon Knight and Werewolf by Night. You know, it's like that's it. You know, so like there's a little bit too much of what the fuck's going on. But I do like the fact that they do it like that, though, because it is a multiverse, and there's so much more shit that goes on in the Marvel world, because how many comics are being pushed out through Marvel every month. You know what I'm saying?
The problem, Kevin Feige acknowledged, is that in an effort to satisfy parent company Disney's hunger for content on its new streaming service, the studio behind The Avengers churned out too many movies and shows with interconnected stories.
Yep.
The deluge of material from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU, on Disney Plus overwhelmed and eventually alienated viewers. It also stretched Feige and his team's resources thin, diluting the quality of their output. Marvel's box office sales, streaming popularity, and formerly untouchable position in pop culture suffered.
I mean, in some cases, I would say that's true, but it's not like they're falling short and DC is on the rise. Like, DC only has like a small handful of fucking characters that can actually last in, like, that, you know, that have lasted over the fucking past few years. Like, short of fucking having that Aquaman movie fucking come out and, you know, basically, I think that was a big hit amongst fucking chicks who think, you know, Jason Momoa's absolutely fucking gorgeous. Which that's only due to the fact of their own sadomasochism from watching Game of Thrones. But aside from that, it's like, okay, look, Marvel is like, Marvel didn't fall flat, I would say. If anything, they kind of remained stagnant. And there were some things here and there that they, you know, that had bombed, but I mean, shit, even in the original fucking series, in the Infinity Saga, there were still some movies that cut fucking short. Like how they, you know, how fucking dirty they did the Incredible Hulk. Again, you know, after the Eric Bana Hulk, which absolutely flopped, and then they had this one, which they wanted it to be a standalone movie, but they somehow ended up tying it into the MCU anyways. So, you know, and it, you know what I'm saying? It's not really that bad. Like every once in a while, a movie company is going to have its fucking flaw, and the same thing with Marvel. Marvel's going to have a flaw every now and again. Like the Eternals was almost, you know, like almost relatively pointless to have, but like to have the Eternals as an example of having something small and have it being something that can be used further down the storyline, right? In Thunderbolts, they're explaining that the Celestial that the Eternals defeated is now a new source of adamantium, which can lead into, which we all know what adamantium is for. We all know that adamantium is going to be for fucking Logan because of his fucking claws and his body. You know, like they fuse adamantium to his bones. That's the whole fucking kit and caboodle about adamantium. So having Eternals fail, even though it still came out and it failed in the box office, despite having fucking Angelina Jolie as Thena and putting fucking Salma Hayek in the movie and killing her off in the fucking movie too, by the way, spoiler alert. You know, they're going to be bringing in so much other shit now that, you know, that, like, think about that. Killing Tiamat and then turning Tiamat into adamantium, and now adamantium exists, which is going to be put into Wolverine, and now you know, in the sacred timeline, and Wolverine is going to end up becoming a thing, which means mutants exist in the fucking MCU, and not just in an alternate fucking timeline. It's one of those things. And it's the same thing with, okay, we understand that Captain America's shield is made by vibranium, but nobody explained where vibranium came from. So they brought out fucking Black Panther, who guards the only source of vibranium on the fucking planet. Like that's the whole thing. And then like having Killmonger be his fucking main character, like, dude, let's be real here. The movie is not as good as you want to admit. You know, like the movie is not good. Okay? Everybody who wants to try to rave about Black Panther, like, it's good, but it's not as good as people say that it is. Okay? The only reason why it went as popular as it did was because of the whole fucking woke movement. You know, like, that was the whole thing. I remember when this movie came out, and there were black people that were trying to fucking tell white people that they weren't allowed to go see this movie in theaters. Y'all had your movies. This is our movie. Let us have our fucking movie. Okay, fine. You can have your suck-ass trash, but we'll be able to still figure out that it has something to do with vibranium and how vibranium is going to work into the future of the rest of the fucking franchise. Because now everything is going to have vibranium on it, including those little nanobites that are going to be put into Iron Man's fucking suit. It's not just Captain America's fucking shield anymore. It's everything. But at the same time, that also fucking makes it so Captain America's shield really isn't that special by comparison. Yeah, this is the level of nerddom that you got to deal with when talking to me. And this is conversations that I would possibly have with my best friend from high school if he was still alive. We'd be having arguments about this. And I'd be fucking stressing him out so much he'd have to get drunk.
So, right away, Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, admits that watching everything kind of felt a little bit more like homework than entertainment, and confirmed what we all thought. Disney
it's still
was
entertaining.
pressuring Marvel Studios to simply just produce a bunch of content for Disney+. And naturally, everything suffered for it. But here's the good news. They acknowledge this, and they are now getting back on track to try to get back to old school Marvel. They state, now, Feige is leading an internal overhaul aimed at getting the studio back on track. Marvel is making fewer TV shows with standalone stories that don't require prior knowledge of the MCU. Feige is...
Yeah, that, like, if you haven't watched Daredevil Born Again, that's a prime fucking example of what the fuck it is that I'm talking about. It stands alone on its own, and it's actually pretty fucking good.
Focused on fixing the studio's movie slate following recent flops like February's Captain America Brave New World.
Now, I don't know why Captain America Brave New World would be considerably a flop. Because, like, you know, and even if it is, like I've said before, you know, like, with movies like The Eternals and Black Panther, there's going to be a little nugget somewhere in there that is going to be useful down the fucking line. You know, so, like, yeah, like, for nerds, like hardcore fucking comic book nerds like myself, definitely fucking gonna be looking into it, you know? And I can guarantee you, I haven't watched Captain America Brave New World, but I can guarantee you, if I see something in there, there's going to be a nugget or two that I can find in that fucking movie that's gonna be like, this is definitely gonna be used way down the line.
So right away, they're making less TV shows, and it sounds like now, one, the TV shows aren't going to require any prior knowledge in the MCU, meaning you won't really have to watch anything beforehand. So,
I mean, like, the only other thing that you're going to be able to see is, like, okay, what was Wilson Fisk doing between Daredevil and Daredevil Born Again? He was the main villain in Hawkeye. At the end of it all, he was the main villain in Hawkeye. That's what he was doing. Like, that's the only thing. Like, he was in hiding, and it, like, at the very beginning of Daredevil Born Again, and once again, spoiler alerts, but it's been out long enough as far as I'm concerned. I'll just tell you the beginning. He had been in hiding for quite some time, and so his wife ended up taking over the business. And then he came back, and he was running for fucking mayor of New York City. And he is trying to take vigilantism and make it illegal. So, like, he creates his own fucking task force where if they find somebody who is doing vigilantism, then they are shut down with heavy fucking force. Also, there's like a thing involving Daredevil not wanting to be Daredevil because Bullseye fucking killed Foggy. That's a little bit of your first fucking episode, but it doesn't explain everything. You have to watch the entire series if you haven't already.
This is a big switch up. If you didn't watch Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Age of Ultron, and other things prior to watching WandaVision, you probably wouldn't have too much of an idea of what's going on.
Right.
The same thing went for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Loki. If you didn't watch things before, it would be really hard to really get into the shows. So Marvel is no longer going to make shows like that. They're going to make shows that you can watch one off. And this most likely means that they won't have too many tie-ins to big events that are happening in the MCU overall.
I mean, yeah, there's probably going to just be like little side nods to what's going on in the fucking movies. Like it should be. Not be like, okay, this is actually integral to the fucking Marvel movie series. But thank God.
I'm sure some of them will, but it sounds like their goal is to basically make the MCU the way it was before, with all of the movies being the things that really interconnect with one another, and then the shows can be fun, one-off adventures. And yes, they will take place in the MCU, so of course they'll be connected in that sense, but it sounds like they're going to make it to where they're not absolutely necessary for the overall story in the films.
So with that being said, I would assume as much that means that I don't know, maybe they're gonna finish off whatever it is that they're fucking doing with the multiverse saga, because after the multiverse saga, we're gonna probably have the mutant saga. Like, and it's gonna be all about the fucking mutants, which finally the third saga is gonna be all about fucking mutants. We've been wanting a reboot of X-Men for the longest fucking time, and the only little taste that we got out of it was from Deadpool and Wolverine, which is fucking phenomenal. You know, like when we found out that it was going to be Deadpool and Wolverine in a buddy cop series, you know, like that was fantastic. Seeing it the way that when we heard about that, we were like, all right, they're bringing in the fucking mutants. Yeah, Beast in the Marvels, that was kind of like a little bit of a teaser. You know, having Beast in there, Professor X and Doctor Strange, you know, but like that was like alternate universe shit as well. I mean, you know, Deadpool technically is as well, because what is it? What is he from, Earth 10,000, something like that? Or something like that. And the sacred timeline is Earth 616. We had Earth 838 in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. They didn't explain what Earth it was that Beast was in the Marvels when fucking Photon went to the other side in that crack. But, you know, like, I feel like that there's going to be, like, certain fucking things that are going to be, like, there's still going to be certain things that are going to be integrated. They're going to wrap up whatever TV shows that they have that are integrated into the fucking into the multiverse saga. But then after that, we're probably not going to see a whole lot going on like with that. It's just going to be more focused on, like, the movies are going to be more focused on the mutant era, and then you're going to have they're going to be more the movies are going to be more focused on the mutant era, and then you're also going to have like little side shows that are still going to be on Disney Plus as they're explaining, that are not going to have anything to do with the major events of the fucking storylines. So it makes me wonder, like, what are they possibly going to fucking do? Like, are they going to have it so it's like, okay, you have X-Men and all of the new, you know, all of the mutant movies and stuff like that, but you're also going to have like X Factor and some other shit going on, because like with the mutants, like there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the mutant side of Marvel that they all intertwine with each other. Like the Blob being a major character, major villain in X-Men, but he has also fought X Factor as well. You know, and I would love to see who would play as fucking Strong Guy from X Factor. I'd love to see that. Yeah, like Doctor Doom, Magneto, like we're going to have another Apocalypse, Mr. Sinister and the Sinister Six, the Four Horsemen. Like we're going to see a whole bunch of different fucking, like there's so many different options. And maybe, just maybe, they might actually be able to do a better version of the Dark Phoenix saga. Like a little bit more true to fucking comic book shit. I don't know.
Now, as far as why Marvel suffered during this time where they were producing a lot of Disney Plus content, they talk about this in great detail in the article, and it all comes down to...
Oh yeah, that's another one. They're gonna bring back fucking Wonder Man. Yeah, and Omega Red, like they're gonna have Omega Red. They're gonna have fucking Juggernaut. Which, by the way, Juggernaut is not a mutant. Okay, I want to point that out there. Juggernaut is not a fucking mutant. He found a ruby that causes his body to be so fucking big and indestructible. Like, and he keeps it on him at all times. You know, like like the Marvel movie series has decided to just make him a fucking mutant is beyond me. And I want to see a possibility of having the reason why Kane Marco, Juggernaut, is somehow related to Professor X because they're half brothers. I would love to see that explanation. They never fucking explained it for one fucking second in any of the X-Men Fox movies. But if Omega Red is there, then Colossus will be there as well. And a much better Colossus at that. Like, the more comic book accurate Colossus from the Deadpool series. Which, by the way, if Doomsday and Secret Wars is supposed to bring in the fucking mutants, then you know for a fact that Deadpool is going to come back. Because that's the fucking universe that they're from.
To Kevin Feige. The article has a section titled Papa Feige. In this section, they talk about how great Kevin Feige has been at starting the MCU.
Yep.
Basically, building up to Avengers Endgame, and with Avengers Endgame, the studio really...
I mean, Kevin Feige, with all of the fucking MCU movies, he made this shit god tier.
Couldn't be touched, with of course its crowning achievement being in 2019 with Avengers Endgame, with it grossing $2.8 billion, a record at the time. But here's where the problem and the decline came in after that. They state during Marvel's heyday in the 2010s, Feige was heavily involved in the film development. He deployed lower-ranking executives to supervise shooting, then got his hands dirty again in the editing room, often making significant changes and ordering new scenes. And the movies were overseen by a small team of creative executives who came to be known as the Parliament. Most had been with the company since its founding or joined as assistants and were promoted, giving Marvel a family-like culture. And they state Feige was the studio's beloved and charismatic dad, a creative genius from whom everyone sought attention and approval.
And I would also assume that he is as much a comic book nerd as the rest of us, because he's like, all of this has to fucking tie in somewhere. We have to figure it out. And he figured it out. And this dude's a fucking genius when it concerns like all these tie-ins.
So it was working great before Endgame, but this is where the problem came. They say soon after Endgame, Marvel Studios started to work on what was next for the MCU. However, Disney was working on what would be best for Disney Plus.
Yeah. Which, to be fair here, why Disney would be forcing this shit to fucking come out is beyond me. Like, part of it had to do with the fucking woke movement, you know? Put a chick in it, make her gay, make her lame. That's one thing. But the other thing too is like, did Bob Iger just not realize that Disney has so much shit that they could already be putting on Disney Plus? Personally, I feel like that this is one of the main reasons why they decided to buy Fox and why they ended up also getting together with ESPN and buying Hulu. So that way they had more stuff for Disney Plus. So everybody would have a reason to have Disney Plus on their shit. Not just fucking Marvel and Star Wars and all this other stuff. And let's be honest here, there's some stuff that's on Star Wars that people to this day are arguing about whether or not it's fucking canon or not. There's shows that are you know, Star Wars based that everybody fucking hates because it doesn't fall into lines with what we know about the original Holy Trilogy of Star Wars. And there's a lot of Star Wars shit that exists that shouldn't fucking exist, but somehow for some reason does. Endor. But nevertheless, it's like Bob Iger is like, we got to put out more content, dude. Dude, the Mickey Mouse Club is fucking enough, all right? Like everything that Disney has put out since fucking Steamboat Willie has the capability of a fucking draw. All right, and you come out with brand new shows. Dude, Disney used to have its own television channel. All right, everything that's on that can be put on Disney Plus. And obviously, it doesn't have to be fucking kid friendly because they also own stuff like Natural Born Killers and fucking Miramax and shit like that. You know, like they have plenty of shit that they could put on Disney Plus. They just didn't immediately at the time. But it ends up becoming Marvel being the one who got fucked because, you know, they were like, you got to push out more Marvel content, have it tied in with the fucking MCU movies and the whole multiverse thing. Do this because, you know, fuck you, pay me. And then Marvel gets fucked. And we get stupid shit like, we get stupid shit like bad CGI for She-Hulk. Which, if She-Hulk is going to be in Doomsday and or fucking Secret Wars, they better do something better with her fucking CGI. As a matter of fact, they should go back into into the fucking editing room and fix the fucking CGI on Jennifer Walters in She-Hulk to make it actually look better. Like the fucking CGI on the speaking lines. Holy shit. That literally looks like it's shitty AI.
To compete with Netflix, stating that Disney needed loads of new series for it, and they were counting on Marvel to provide many of them. The strategy became just expansion, 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 said a person who worked at Marvel.
Which could be exhaustive. You know, it's like you're gonna pump out all of this fucking work, and it's gonna be just exhausting for Marvel as a studio.
At the time, Kevin Feige told colleagues that he agreed to the plan because of a zealousness to tell more stories and a desire to be an excellent corporate citizen. It turned out to be a mistake. The Wall Street Journal states that Marvel's transition from producing a few hours of movie content annually to several dozen hours of streaming shows and films eventually broke down the studio's processes. A pair of executives oversaw each show, while Feige remained the final decision maker on every significant creative issue, even though there were exponentially more decisions to make each day.
And, you know, like, even if you, since I mentioned She-Hulk, I think that they kind of tapped into that when they broke the fourth wall and had She-Hulk fucking break out of the show and into the real world and try to actually have a fucking conversation with Kevin Feige. And it turned out that Kevin Feige was the entire time was just a fucking anagrammic robot. Where it was just like, we found the formula of success and this is how we're going to fucking do it. And it was just like, yeah, but it's just like the ending of this show just doesn't make sense because you've got explosions and fights and cameos that don't fucking fit into this. It's like, why does the last episode have to have everybody that was introduced into the show fucking fighting amongst each other?
And here was the big problem. They state people who worked at Marvel in the early 2020s said it was challenging to secure enough time with Feige to get his feedback. As a result, they sometimes spent weeks on work that proved irrelevant once he weighed in, then found themselves with little time to implement his changes before a deadline.
See, I think like in hindsight, like it was probably a good idea to have like Marvel Television Studios and Marvel Studios as a movie production company, having both of those entities separate on paper is a good idea. But the problem is that you're trying to incorporate what's going on in the movies into the TV show and the stuff that's going on in the TV shows into the movies. And so, like, you have these two fucking companies that are, these two sections of the same company that are bickering amongst each other. It's going to create a fucking civil war. much fucking akin to what happened in Captain America Civil War.
Desperate staffers resorted to chasing Feige in the halls to get answers.
So yeah, Feige himself, who was usually the last fucking call and was hands-on about a lot of the shit that was going on in the beginning of the fucking shit, was basically being stretched thin. Like a piece of butter across too much bread.
So basically what they are explaining here is that before Kevin...
Holy shit. Did they just show... Yeah, they just showed Trevor Slattery in Wonder Man. They're bringing back the fucking fake Mandarin. That's awesome. Trevor Slattery, man. That dude is fucking funny.
Before a deadline, desperate staffers resorted to chasing Feige in the halls to get answers. So basically what they are explaining here is that before, Kevin Feige used to look over everything. Yep. And that's because they used to only produce a few movies a year. And they actually show a graph here that shows what they produced prior to Disney Plus and then what they started to produce after. And
damn. Yeah, look at that shit. And like, okay, obviously this is COVID right here. Yeah, figures for 2024 are lower than planned and 2025 higher than planned due to the Hollywood strikes. 2020 was the first year of the pandemic. So yeah, like all of this stuff was produced, like, I mean, they were still shooting stuff during COVID, but they didn't really release a whole lot in 2020. And then right here, you can see like a little bit of a dip, and then this was much higher. But like here you have the fucking movies. Like 2021, these are all the movies, these are all the TV shows, because these were the 3 TV shows that they had. The 3 main TV shows, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, WandaVision. And then they started bringing that down. But as you can see, like the movie quality here, 2024 is at an absolute fucking low. Like how many Marvel movies came out in 2024? I'm gonna Google that. How many movies came out? Damn it. How many Marvel movies came out in 2024? Yeah. 1 fucking movie. And that was Deadpool and Wolverine. That was the only fucking movie that came out in 2024. And then you have like all of this fucking over content in 2024 of TV shows. That like this part is almost as bad as 2021. And then you've got this where it's like, okay, here's 2 movies that are coming out in 2025 so far. And then all of this right here, estimated content for TV shows. So like once, and I think like by the end of 2026, when they start doing the Mutant Saga in 2027, there's gonna be that. You know, like they're gonna just fucking quiet it out.
As you can see here, it is so much more. So while Kevin Feige used to be able to look over everything, it quickly turned into he was basically looking at some things here and there, giving his input every now and then when the final product came, he demanded changes to make things better, but since there wasn't a lot of time, they really couldn't make all of the changes, and that definitely explains why the CGI for some things has been pretty sketchy.
Like I said before, She-Hulk was dog shit. That was absolute fucking, like, there's CGI on She-Hulk for She-Hulk, not for a lot of the other characters. Like, I would have to say that they kept it good with with Bruce Banner, you know, with Smart Hulk, and the same thing. Like they also changed up Abomination a little bit, but you know, like they set up they made the CGI for Abomination strictly for a cameo appearance in Shang-Chi, and so that since that was a part of the movie, they were able to keep the CGI for that version of Abomination and make it look good. But like the CGI for Jennifer Walters was dog water.
The team was asked to make changes with just not enough time to do it well. So the result was a lot of projects coming from Marvel Studios, all of which weren't the same quality that fans were used to. Which brings us to the next section titled Marvel Fatigue. They state, the internal dysfunction began to show in Marvel's output.
Yep.
Viewers complained that there was too much Marvel content to keep up with, and a growing proportionate of it felt subpar.
And of course, Disney, being Disney, is going to milk the tit until it runs out of milk and then complain about the fact that the teat ran out of fucking milk.
With shows failing to attract new viewers, or even old viewers, with shows like Secret Invasion and Miss Marvel. And they state that in the theaters, Marvel's biggest hits were the nostalgia stories like Spider-Man No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
They then stated that they had a lot riding on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and then it flopped.
I mean, I like, in all honesty, like, I loved Quantumania. I love the Ant-Man series. To be totally honest, like, there's a lot of series in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I really didn't have a whole lot of knowledge on, but like Ant-Man being an example and Doctor Strange being another example, but it has grown a lot, like, in me, a love for those characters and those stories. And then there's Deadpool, which is chaos, and I love it.
And then employees at Marvel started to talk regularly about Marvel fatigue. They worried that they had created a no new fans club in which people unfamiliar with the state of the MCU couldn't watch a new release because they'd have no idea what was going on.
Which is true. Like I said before at the very beginning of this video, it was like, okay, look, in order to watch this movie, you have to watch this TV series. In order to watch this TV series, you have to understand what's going on in these movies. And so it's like, you're not going to be able to get fans that are going to understand what the fuck is going on in, in Hawkeye if they've never watched, if they've ever watched fucking Endgame and Infinity War. And you're not going to have people that are going to understand what the fuck is going on in the Marvels if they haven't watched fucking Miss Marvel with Kamala Khan. Like, literally the only TV show that they came with that was like a standalone show on Disney Plus that had no tie-ins with any other TV shows on Disney Plus or the fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe movies was Moon Knight. And that was it. Like, What If, though, like, that's a completely different thing. Like, you had to watch everything in order to know what the fuck was going on in fucking What If. Which, me being me, I'm gonna fucking do it. In chronological order. From, like, either the movie aspect of it, and TV show aspect of it, or by year chronologically, depending on the fucking inside of the movie. So, like, I had the capability, I had the know-how to figure out how to fucking watch, to watch Captain America, and then fucking watch Agent Carter, and then move on from there.
Meanwhile, Wall Street's obsession with streaming growth gave way to a focus on profitability, and Bob Iger and Kevin Feige began scrutinizing Marvel's costs and creative choices more closely. This led to them deciding that Blade's script was not good enough, and they scrapped the film, for now at least.
Yeah, for now at least. I hope to God it's just at least.
This is where things kind of started to change. Quantumania bombed, and then Kevin Feige decided to become more involved, hoping that the Marvels wouldn't bomb.
Yeah, because, like, Quantumania is an excellent fucking movie. I actually really like the concept of Quantumania, where they actually go into a little fucking pocket universe that's basically in the quantum realm. The Marvels was going to bomb regardless because, like I said, you have to watch Miss Marvel to understand. You have to watch Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel and WandaVision, actually, in order to understand everything that's going on in the movie The Marvels. That's one reason why it was bound to fucking fail. The second reason why it was bound to fucking fail is because of Brie Larson in and of herself.
But it became Marvel's biggest bomb ever. And this is where all of the...
And the reason why I say that, mind you, is because Brie Larson is like a hardcore fucking feminist. And it wasn't as bad as what Homegirl did with the Snow White fucking movie. But after Captain Marvel came out, yeah, it turned out that Brie Larson's a fucking bitch. And people really don't like working with her because of her fucking political views.
Big Marvel changes come in. Marvel and Feige's Parliament team has gone to a retreat every fall in Palm Springs. They would go and they would plan out the future of the MCU. And in 2023, it was basically the worst time that they've ever gone, with Marvel not being in such good shape. The TV shows weren't working, the movies weren't working, and the studio had just laid off employees for the first time in its history.
Damn, take a look at all of this shit. Damn. This is insane. Like they this literally looks like a fucking damn, this is nuts. Dude, look, this is a mess. This is an absolute fucking mess. But yeah, like, you can see chaos in this is basically what I'm saying. But yeah, you take a look at all of this shit, like, oh my god, like all of these fucking focal points. Boom, 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 boom. But this right here, this is just the Infinity Saga, you know? But like you also have like some of the other characters that come in later. It's like, okay, it really shows like, okay, who appears where and does what. I want to say, okay, so we got Black Panther here. Let's see, Civil War. In the comics, Doctor Strange is a founding member of the Defenders. So they end up explaining certain things. Hank Pym is on Iron Man's pre-registration side. Let's see, in the comics, Ragnarok is a robot clone of Thor created by Tony Stark. So they had to change up what Ragnarok was. I have not seen Thunderbolts yet. Marvel Superhero Squad show was a great show. I don't recall that. But like it also shows like here you have a little piece of the Defenders here, and they also show only Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Luke Cage. They don't show anything about they don't show anything at all about partners as hero for hires. So this is like certain things that they end up incorporating in all of this. Battle of New York. Okay, so like here we go. Like here we have Avengers Assemble, and then this line right here where it says the Battle of New York impact on Hell's Kitchen, which starts off with fucking Daredevil, because they do make mention of the Battle of New York in Daredevil. But also they end up having some other thing where Incredible Hulk, like, they have a fucking mention on Incredible Hulk because Incredible Hulk fights Abomination in Harlem. And at some point in Avengers Assemble, the first Avengers movie, they do make mention. Bruce Banner's like, the last time I was in New York, I accidentally broke Harlem. But there's some other fucking, like, but this whole thing right here, this is chaos. Like, this entirety is chaos, and it all ties into Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and Endgame, which was Part 2. So can you only imagine what it would look like for the multiverse saga?
From here, they talked about whether or not they could salvage their plans for Kang Dynasty, with Quantumania being such a bomb, and talked about a new TV strategy in which shows would have plots divorced from the MCU, making them easier for new fans to understand.
I do not care. I will say it. Maybe we need Kunsky to lay the hammer down and get the MCU back on track. Apparently, that's already happened. And I would have to say that's slowly starting off with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
And this led to...
Or at least, his fucking next of kin.
To a bunch of changes that Marvel Studios then made and are continuing to make now. They decided to cut back significantly on TV production. And Disney CEO Bob Iger even said quantity in our case diluted quality. And Marvel has suffered greatly from that. And now they're only going to release 1 or 2 live-action streaming series annually, starting in 2026, with the goal of the new shows they introduce to have multiple seasons and not cross over onto the big screen. And
now, I disagree with this. I think it's like, okay, you could do more than 1 or 2 streaming shows a year with Disney Plus. You could do more. You could do 3 or 4 or 5. But as long as they don't tie in heavily with the fucking MCU movies, I think it'd be fine.
The primary reason that they are doing this is so Feige can focus on the movies, and they're even going to have a senior executive overseeing television, which as far as we're concerned, I believe that is Brad Winderbaum.
Okay, so I heard Kunski plays an extra for Rocket in Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's where he's been this entire time. I mean, for me, I understood, like, I kind of see like Rocket and Kunski being the same thing as Lorenzo Music and Bill Murray, where it's like, okay, you know how in Ghostbusters Bill Murray was Pete Venkman, but in the real Ghostbusters cartoon, Lorenzo Music was the voice of Pete Venkman, and then Lorenzo Music was the voice of Garfield in the Garfield cartoons, but in the movie, Bill Murray was the voice of Garfield. So it's kind of the same thing between Rocket and Kunski. That's at least in my head.
Head of Marvel TV. Marvel's top priority.
So, like, on certain podcasts, Kunski's fucking stunt double would be Rocket. And in the movies, Rocket's stunt double is Kunski. There you go.
Is ensuring that the next 2 Avengers extend the track record of the franchise. So Marvel decided to brainstorm on how they could make Avengers Kang Dynasty better, and it just so happened that at that time, Kevin Feige had been talking to Robert Downey Jr. for more than a year about returning to the MCU to specifically play Doctor Doom. They just didn't...
Who he was supposed to play originally in the fucking first place. And instead, they ended up getting that one douchebag that was in that fucking movie about, you know, that one TV show about fucking plastic surgery or something.
Know when or where he could return and appear in the MCU. But as they started to think about what to do for Kang Dynasty, they ultimately decided that Robert Downey Jr. was the solution to their so-called Avengers problem. So they changed Avengers Kang Dynasty to Avengers Doomsday and announced that Robert Downey Jr. would be returning to play Doom. And they don't mention this, but I'm sure the fact that Jonathan Majors got into all of the trouble that he did made it pretty easy to move away from Kang, on top of already beginning to think about moving away from Kang. Then on top of that, they hired the Russo brothers to come back for the next 2 Avengers films as well, stating that Kevin Feige likes to go back to people he trusts, particularly in moments of urgency.
And in this case, that's exactly what this is at this particular moment. Is like, dude, the MCU, like the fucking multiverse in Marvel is already unraveling, and I think, in all honesty, it's kind of like life imitating art when it concerns, like, you know, because in Loki, like Loki season 2, it was all about how the fucking multiverse was spreading so big that universes were colliding and creating incursions and killing themselves off, and it's like, yeah, that's really fucking happening on the show in, you know, IRL. You know, like the fucking Marvel Studios is falling apart at the seams because of how much bullshit content that they're putting out because Disney Plus wanted it.
Which I would definitely say that Marvel was in. So Marvel Studios has a completely new plan moving forward, and the article ends actually by stating, in many ways, Marvel has now reverted to its strategy from before the streaming boom, as if the past 5 years had been a bad dream.
Now, like, keeping it the way that it is that's really all that you can fucking do.
As he did when Marvel Studios started, Feige has an expansive vision for his company's big screen future. The upcoming Avengers movies are expected to introduce the X-Men, one of Marvel's most popular superhero teams, to the MCU.
Thank fucking God. Like, this is something that we've been wanting since, since the Infinity Saga.
Feige has told colleagues he has a 10-year plan for.
You were thinking of Julian McMahon, who played Doctor Doom. He was in Nip Tuck. Yeah, that's exactly who I was thinking of. Yeah, like, to me, I find like that dude playing as Doctor Doom, that was fucking weak sauce, in my personal opinion. But then again, there's only so much that you can do when it concerns like, oh, how's the studio going to fucking be able to accept this type of movie? I don't know. Let's make Galactus a giant fucking cloud in the second movie. That ought to kill it.
The character.
And then, the first movie was like the way that he became Doctor Doom is just annoying as shit. And I don't like that guy. I don't think he's a good actor.
So, huge news for us Marvel fans. Marvel Studios is basically going back to how they did it in the Infinity Saga. And the phrase, "In Feige we trust," does come to mind because when Feige can directly oversee projects and give time to those projects, that's when they're good. And now Marvel Studios has a head of television to where Feige doesn't really have to be involved, which means now, and this is their plan, he can completely focus on movies. And this is going to make a really big difference for both TV and movies, because now Brad Winderbaum can make all the decisions for TV shows and he can make them pretty much right away when they need to be made.
Which, good, I mean, personally, I think that that's a good thing, but also at the same time, at least that does kind of like take the Marvel fatigue and stress off of Kevin Feige. But I still don't agree with the fact that you don't need only 1 or 2 shows coming out per year. I think that you can still do 3 or 4 or 5. And they don't have to fucking, correlate with each other or the fucking movies. Just have little side projects and stuff. Just little happy nuggets of fucking, just make little chicken tenders out of these fucking things, Like they said before. Just little one-offs or some shit like that. Or figure out a way on how to make a fucking continuous fucking series. You know what I'm saying? It was like having Woody Harrelson play Carnage. At first I didn't think that Woody Harrelson playing Carnage was going to be a good idea because I, like a lot of other people, thought that the guy who played Rorschach in Watchmen would have been a better choice. Because that dude literally looks like Cassidy from the comics. But Woody Harrelson did play his role pretty okay. I bet Doom uses some sort of alternate version of the super soldier serum on everyone that activates the X gene in people. I don't know. No, because mutants have always been around. Like, in the comic books, mutants have always been around. But it was like, slowly but surely, like, everybody's X genes were starting to fucking activate more and more often. It was always something that had happened. Like, even, like, the only thing that they got right in the Fox X-Men series was Apocalypse being the first mutant. They fucked up how, they fucked up what his mutant ability was and how he was able to do so many different fucking things. But they fucking got at least one of those things done correctly, which was saying that Apocalypse was the first mutant. So, the mutant X gene has been around since the days of En Sabanur.
This will lead to things not being done at the last minute, and the same thing goes for movies. Kevin Feige can be involved the entire time. So instead of the creative team working on something for weeks and then Kevin Feige coming in and saying, nope, that doesn't work, start over or do something else, that's not the case anymore.
There you go. This is the possibility of phase 1 of the Mutant Saga. So they're going to have a TV show that's going to be based on Wolverine, Avengers Reborn, Fantastic Four, another thing of a reboot of Inhumans. They're going to bring back X-Men, and it looks like it's going to be X-Men 97. I mean, they already brought back like a full season of X-Men 97, but this looks like it's going to be I would like this. This is the X-Men 97 fucking logo, but I would love to see it in live action. And look, Gambit. or this is going to be the X-Men movie. What they did to Gore was terrible. Yeah, I mean, like, they're going to bring in some other villains. I'm pretty sure of it.
You can be with them when they begin and either say, yes, this is good, or no, it's not.
So this makes me wonder, is this going to be a fucking good, like, does this look like a good first phase of the mutant saga? And if I'm correct, this Wolverine is going to be the John Byrne Brown and Gold. They're gonna have that be, and maybe, just maybe, the legends are true, and it might be the Cavalry.
Let's go a different direction. This is going to really just improve the quality of all of the projects coming from Marvel Studios a ton. So their new strategy, combined with the X-Men now coming to our new universe after Secret Wars, and the Fantastic Four and whoever else they get to appear, is going to mean Marvel Studios is going to be at its very best after Avengers Secret Wars. But really, hopefully, starting with the Fantastic Four and Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, that should be the best for Marvel Studios as well, because they're already doing their new plan. Feige has been way more involved with these projects than he's been in the last 5 years. So hopefully they are fantastic. I think this is great news, but go ahead, let me know what you think about all of this.
All right, whatever, that's the ending. So, like, basically, like, at this end, what they're explaining with the Marvel Universe is that, okay, we're gonna have to choke down a turd sandwich over the next year or so. So 2025, 2026, 2027, we're gonna have to choke down this multiverse saga turd sandwich with how many shows that they have left to fucking incorporate into the multiverse saga, all of the other movies that they're going to be incorporating, and how it's all going to fucking tie into Doomsday and eventually fucking Secret Wars. But then Secret Wars is going to fucking introduce the mutants from a different universe, and then I don't know if they're going to try to incorporate the mutants into Earth 616, or if it's just going to be from a completely different fucking universe, or what the fuck. So that's going to be interesting to see over the next few years. And me being a Marvel fan, like, I'm salivating at a lot of the other stuff. It might actually give me a reason to fucking go out and actually watch the movie in theaters, assuming that I don't have to pay $136 just for a fucking bucket of popcorn, the movie, a drink, and a couple of fucking boxes of candy. So there's all of that shit. Now, who wants to fucking see some dumb shit about politics? Because it's going to happen. So, I mean, like, if you want to, let's go ahead and watch some dumb shit. So, first off, I want to fucking bring this out, which I watch a lot of Charlie Kirk on TikTok. I've never actually seen like a full fucking Q&A thing. Usually it's like little bits and pieces of the dumb shit that fucking happens during his Q&A sessions when he goes to colleges and stuff like that. But this one is actually, I thought, it had a pretty interesting title, and it's called Lib Claims MAGA is a Cult, but nearly passes out after learning it might be the other way around.
My statement / question is, would you agree / disagree that the Make America movement, Make America Great movement, again, MAGA movement, is a cult?
Yeah, so there you go. Now, if you haven't figured it out yet, like, I'm a pretty pro MAGA guy. I do support Donald Trump as our president, and I love watching how the people on the opposite side fucking freak the fuck out. And on top of that, like, to my surprise, like, I haven't really lost any friends even being on this podcast and talking about my political views and how I see the world and shit. Like, ever since he announced that he was going to be running for president, I've been in support of Donald Trump. And I've just been watching the fucking liberals crash and burn and panic and freak out, and how people are so fucking stupid with it. But also, since 2015, I have seen people lose friendships over political nonsense. To my surprise, that hasn't happened to me yet. But it's stuff like this that she just asked that is a clear-cut fucking proof, positive, that there's a mindset on that side of the field that tends to fucking think that we in and of ourselves are a fucking cult when they themselves have been bursting through fucking walls yelling, "Oh yeah."
No. Why don't you explain to me and the audience what is a cult?
Of course. Okay. Do you know any characteristics of a cult?
Sure. I mean, you could take the Jonestown death cult, of which there was a...
Is she paying attention? Like, is she seriously fucking tweeting this? Look, she asks him a question, and then as he's answering the question, she fucking pulls out a phone and starts talking. Oh, yeah. If I was him, I would have just stopped myself instead of fucking breaking the fourth wall and being like, this bitch, really? Like, I would have just stopped myself and been like, no, go ahead, finish your tweet. Like, look, what the fuck? And why are you wearing a fucking, why are you wearing a fucking sweatshirt? It's spring, okay? I only wear a hoodie when I'm down here because I don't have any fucking heat down here or cold. It fucking sucks all year round in my basement. So, anyways, like this poor fuck. Like, oh shit, I don't know. What the fuck? Anyways.
Audience, what is a cult?
Of course. Okay. Do you know any characteristics of a cult?
Sure. I mean, you could take the Jonestown death cult, of which there was a charismatic leader that constantly lied people, and they took him out of everyday normal life and leads them towards ostracization and cutting off of family ties. Am I getting closer to describing the Democrat Party?
According to the... No. What I'm talking about is MAGA.
What? Like, I love it when they say that MAGA's a fucking cult, but like, I have not seen any cult-like behavior in fucking people with MAGA, and I follow a lot of people who are from MAGA. Like, I have noticed that when it concerns, like, when somebody from MAGA and a libtard are in the same room at the same time, it's usually the liberal person who freaks the fuck out, screaming insane nonsense or doing stupid shit. And basically subscribing to the school of whoever screams the loudest wins the argument. Which is interesting because I've seen people fucking do that. Like, people who are against me as a person have fucking done that. I don't know if it's supposed to be a rule in debate.
Cutting off of family ties. Am I getting closer to
I
describing
will
the
read
Democrat
you,
Party?
According to the... No. What I'm talking about is MAGA. According to the Bethune Cook University website, characteristics of a cult include isolating members and criticizing them for leaving.
Oh, gee, yeah, that's what liberals fucking do. Like, anytime that a liberal is a friend with another liberal who's like, I'm interested in hearing what the other side has to say out of curiosity. Oh, well, I didn't know that you know, or if they had friends who they didn't even realize were fucking voting Republican, and we're like, oh, I didn't know that you were a xenophobic, homophobic, racist bigot, you know? Or the people who are independent and like, I'm not sure who to vote for, and then they fucking ostracize the independent voter, which leads them to fucking vote Republican, and they're like, why are you fucking voting for them? Oh, gee, I wonder... That sounds exactly like what fucking Democrat voters do.
According to the Bethune Cook University website, characteristics of a cult include isolating members and criticizing them for leaving. Would you say that members of the MAGA movement will criticize others for leaving?
Hell to the fuck no. Like, if I've got friends of mine who decided to vote Democrat, that doesn't change my opinion of them whatsoever. Unless they start fucking criticizing me for voting for Donald Trump, then I have a fucking problem. If somebody ended up saying to me that they have no problem with, I used to be Republican, but I decided to vote for Kamala Harris. Okay, I mean, I think you voted for an idiot, but that doesn't change who I believe you are as a person. As opposed to the other side where it's just like, I can't believe that you would vote for that rapist when they have absolutely no fucking tangible proof of what it is that they're fucking talking about. Like, they believe all of this shit that is being poured into them without any tangible evidence. And yet they ostracize people who vote for the opposition. Meanwhile, the people who are on the Democrat side, that are curious about the others, that are curious about the Republican side of things, they're like, oh, I was afraid to fucking come over here because I hear that they lynch people of my color, or they fucking tie me to a bumper and drag me because of my sexual orientation, or something like that. But it's like, I have seen multiple fucking lives and videos on TikTok from Trump rallies where that is where people have actually said that, and they have been welcomed with open arms, regardless of their race, sexual orientation, or religious affiliation, so on and so forth. I find it incredibly hilarious that also that they try to say MAGA is a fucking racist cult or something like that, when we have, we ended up getting a vast majority of the young vote, the black vote. We even got quite a few fucking Jews that ended up voting for Donald Trump. It's like the things that I have seen from the Democrat Party has been absolutely fucking insane. The liberals that follow those people are batshit fucking crazy. And it's like, you think that we're a cult? Are you fucking serious? It's all chaos, in my opinion. They brainwash themselves into believing their own views over everyone else's, regardless of fact. That I agree with. And to me, it's like, like you're only seeing from one speaking point, and it's starting to look somewhat like an echo chamber. And when you have that echo chamber where it's like everybody has to agree with you or else they're the opposition, then that really stymies the fucking viewpoints that you could possibly have to see the positive side of the other side of the fence.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you guys criticize players that transfer out of the University of Tennessee football team. That's not a cult.
No, football is a cult.
Okay, what about the absolute authoritarianism without meaningful accountability?
Oh, that's liberals all fucking together. And the thing though, and there's another thing too that she ends up bringing up that just popped into my head, and I have an answer for it that I think Charlie Kirk actually didn't. I did watch this ahead of time. I will say that. So like when it gets to it, I'll tell you.
Okay, so what you're trying to say is that, like, what the leader says, the leader gets, basically?
Yes, Trump.
We have lots of disagreements in the MAGA movement. In fact, I'm more pro-life than the president is. In fact, a lot of people in this audience would have differing views maybe on where the president is at on Israel or Gaza or Ukraine or Russia.
Yep.
In fact, some people in this audience might say the president is not as pro-Second Amendment as they would like. I would argue that we actually have far more intellectual diversity in the MAGA movement than your traditional Democrat Party.
And I agree to that. Like, there might not be, I might not agree with Trump 100% on everything that he fucking does. I mean, so far he's been hitting the mark as far as I'm concerned, and been able to take it in stride. But it seems like, it literally feels like to me, it's like the Liberal Party has been washed to the point where it's like everything that he fucking says and does is automatically wrong in their mind. Like, as an example, we just recently got a new pope, right? Pope Francis passed away, and we ended up getting our real second city saint, Pope Leo the 14th, right? So Pope Leo the 14th in the past has actually said negative things about his views on Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. And at the same time, I think Trump actually clapped back and said something negative about Pope Leo the 14th. And so, because of that, I would assume that just because of those two things where they're having like a little Twitter banter or something like that, the Liberal Party is automatically going to go in favor of Pope Leo the 14th. And so, on purpose, inadvertently, Trump is causing more people to be pro-Catholic than Catholicism. Just because he fucking said something a little lightly negative about Pope Leo the 14th. Where it was just like, okay, fuck you, and then the clapback was, fuck me, fuck you. Oh, well, Trump said fuck you to the Pope. We're in favor of the fucking Pope. Like, literally, it's getting to a point, I feel, where, like, if Trump ended up making a tweet or a post on Truth Social about the importance of breathing oxygen, everybody on the Liberal Party side would actually be like, we need to stop breathing oxygen. Trump loves fucking oxygen. We can't stand oxygen. We want to inhale gaseous sulfur. Like, let's stick our head in a fucking volcano and breathe in for the rest of our fucking life. Or something to that. You know what? You know what's better than oxygen, Donald Trump? Carbon dioxide. We're going to breathe CO2 for the rest of our lives and choke ourselves. Please do. You know, like the stupid ones will actually... Darwinism at its best.
I see where you're going with this and stating that not every person who, I guess, supports Trump is fully supportive of him, but I'm saying the MAGA movement who will agree with him no matter what.
No, because there are people who voted for Trump and are pro-MAGA that also disagree with certain things that Trump says and does. But that doesn't take away the idea that Trump was the better bet of the two candidates between Trump and Kamala Harris. The only reason why people voted for Kamala Harris in the first place was because of their seething, empty hatred for Donald Trump, and they don't even know why. All they do is they just do buzzwords and bullet points that were taken, that were fucking spread around by CNN, ABC, NBC, and CBS News. The fake news.
Well, I actually think that there's more depth and complexity to the MAGA movement than you would imagine. A lot of people here who would consider themselves to be part of the MAGA movement, they won't blindly sign on to everything that Trump does.
Yeah.
However, they will say that they agree with him 8 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 times. And so I would say, though, you know what was a cult? What was a cult is what we lived during COVID. During COVID, and allow me to build out the argument.
Actually, not just during COVID. Like, everything that's happened since Donald Trump ran for his first fucking term. Like, everything, like, you notice how like, if you don't remember, there was a huge fucking shift, a big switch that fucking turned on the minute that people started to realize that there was a good possibility that Donald Trump was going to win the presidency in 2016. And then all of a sudden, everybody who fucking loved him, everybody on The View, everybody in politics, everybody in fucking Hollywood, celebrities and shit like that, everybody started talking negatively about Donald Trump and has been since then. And it has turned into a fucking echo chamber to a point where half the people that hate Trump don't even remember why. They just know that they do. Which doesn't make any fucking sense. If you have no reason to fucking dislike a person, then you don't dislike the fucking person. If anything, like, you really need to reevaluate yourself and understanding what is it about him that fucking you dislike. Oh, because of a simple couple of buzzwords that you fucking heard from people on your side? Did you actually take a look into, like, depth of research as to why it is that you dislike a fucking person? I don't think so. If anything, the majority of the people who dislike Donald Trump only read the headlines of certain articles and didn't even read the whole fucking article or try to find something that might possibly oppose it. They just took what it was for what it was and just left it at that. And did like half the fucking research.
That no matter what the CDC or Anthony Fauci would say, you would have the little talking heads on television parrot it back, no matter how insane it was. We must close the schools, 6 feet to slow the spread, wear a mask while showering. Okay, I made that one up. But
No, but wearing a mask while driving, you know, to keep yourself safe from the people outside and keep the people outside safe from you as you're driving 45 miles an hour. Because logic. You know, this is simple logic.
I mean, the point being is that far more had characterizations of what a cult would be than the traditional Make America Great Again movement.
I mean, basically, yeah, like one person on that side of things would basically bark an order, and everybody else on that side would be one of us, gooble gobble, gooble gobble.
Okay, but you could also argue the side that Fox News does the exact same thing, where they just regurgitate everything that the right media is saying, and
as opposed to ABC, ABC, CNBC, WNBC, CBS, and fucking CNN, PBS. Like, the fucking Liberal Party has news in a stranglehold, and the only company that's actually opposing liberal views has been fucking Fox, and that's it. Otete and all these other celebtards told me that Trump is the devil. Right, yeah. That's exactly right, Vampire Clown. We are seeing now that the left is really in trouble. Their main rallying cry is opposing Donald Trump. They've lost the plot entirely. I've been saying that for fucking months. Like, almost a year now, I want to say. Like, probably even prior to bringing back the Crazy House, I've been fucking saying that.
People on the right will believe anything Fox News says, and I'm not defending CNN.
Oh yeah, but like the people, but like the libtards will actually believe anything that CNN and PBS and CBS and CNBC and ABC are gonna fucking say on their news. Or the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post. What else could I fucking say? The New York Times, the LA Times, especially the LA Times. Hell, probably even Fox News that's over in California. Anybody that's living in a major city of California that actually isn't sleeping in a fucking tent right now. Like, anything that these motherfuckers fucking say, the liberals fucking echo chamber it.
And I'm not saying the Democratic Party is perfect.
Oh, they're not. They're far from it. If anything, they're the antithesis of that.
I'm just saying that there is a movement of conservative people who support Trump who will do it no matter what.
Okay, as opposed to what your movements are supposedly like? Have you seen some of the people at your fucking rallies? They don't even know what they're rallying about. All they know is that, like, there are at every fucking rally that has happened this year, there are so many different fucking things that everybody thinks that the rally is actually about. And the reality is that the rallies that they're doing have been nothing but fucking anti-Trump rhetoric. It's almost like the Westboro Baptist Church used to fucking protest shit, but then they would have signs about like hating gays and stuff like that had absolutely nothing to do with what they were rallying against. And that's exactly what I'm seeing with the fucking liberal rallies. Like, everybody's got a different thing that they're fucking going up against during those protests, and there's like nothing fucking solid or concrete. That's usually what a rally is. That's usually what a group of people fucking do. The only thing that correlates with all of those opposing opinions is their mindless, empty, seething hatred for Donald Trump for no fucking reason.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get to where you have come to this opinion. I'm trying to understand it because I see something completely different.
I do not use CNN as my news source, by the way.
Oh, no. I'm sure it's PBS because look how PG you are. Elmo told her Elmo hates Trump, so she must hate Trump too.
Just so you know.
Good for you.
Yeah, wonderful.
Apparently you haven't been in an airport recently because the only people that watch CNN is if you're walking through an airport. So I'm trying to understand where you're coming from, and by your own definition of a cult.
The anti-Trump-ish has even affected the Canadian election. Shit's ridiculous. Yeah, bro, like, dude, what the fuck caused you Canucks to vote for Carney? I know you saw my TikTok post, which, by the way, I'm gonna point this out, Ninja with a pencil. I did not necessarily say anything about my view on it or whether or not it was actually true, but like I heard the rumor that Carney wants to fucking remove all vehicles that are 2000 or older, right? And the first thing that popped into my head after hearing it was not to confirm whether or not it was true. The first thing I thought of was Red Barchetta by Rush, because that's what it sounded like. And so when I posted that, it actually fucking caused a whole bunch of people to say, oh, it was fake, it was AI, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, acting as if I fucking believed it. I only heard about it. I didn't even see the fucking video. I just heard the rumor. I didn't necessarily fucking go to see if it was true or false. I was just posting the first fucking thing I thought. But apparently people in my comments section were just fucking automatically assuming, and that's a problem too. Instead of actually looking between the lines and understanding where I was going with it, people just made the automatic assumption that I was like that. Now, I know Carney's a prick and he's a piece of shit just based off of the things that I have seen and things that I have read and listening to, you know, the fucking Canadians' response to it. But you voted for this motherfucker, okay? You voted for Carney after years of getting fucked over by Justin Trudeau. And they're like, the only thing that you're going to be able to do in effigy against Donald Trump, the American president, is to enlist a fucking prime minister in Canada that's worse than Justin Trudeau. Dude, make it make sense. And it's no wonder why Alberta wants to be one of us. We want them, we want British Columbia, and we want whatever we can get to connect to fucking Alaska, by the way. And trust me, if I honestly, I think that Alberta is actually serious about wanting to become the 51st state. Like, Trump is like doing a trolling side quest, you know, like, not, I don't think he's actually really serious. I don't think he was serious about it at first, but now as time is starting to roll by, it's like, we need to save Canada by exacerbating Canada from Canada, one province at a time. Because, yeah, like, from what I understand, if you thought Trudeau was bad, holy shit. Have fun. But you know what? I honestly, and I think I said this before, I propose a trade between Canada and fucking Alberta. All right? We get to have Alberta, and we'll give you all our libtards. I didn't vote conservative like most of my province, but it didn't matter. Alberta might see that as the only way to get out of a liberal government. Well, I think Alberta is like the only province. Yeah, I think, yeah, Alberta's the only province that's pro-fucking Republican. And they seem to be fucking in favor of a lot of Trump's political views. I know that the Liberal Party is a little bit different in Canada than it is in America. I know that there are some differences. Thanks to watching Roma Army, I kind of found out that they have a different viewpoint in the liberal stance in Canada than they do in America. I think the liberals in America are fucking insane. Well, a majority of them. But I'll tell you this, like I said, you give us Alberta, Canada, and make that the 51st state, we'll give you all our liberals. So that way we can have a fucking, you know, that way we can have that fucking red maggot cult like they say that we have. We don't, but we should. But seriously, give me Alberta. The indigenous might have a problem with that. Hey, I mean, you saw what we did to our indigenous.
It's not my own. It's a
Okay,
legitimate.
fine. So
educational
let me ask you a
definition.
question. A cult would probably convince people to do something that would be against their humanity. Would you agree?
Yes.
A cult would probably get people to do something that they know is wrong, even though they think they should do something as right.
Maybe. Because
Maybe. No, it's a yes or no, and the answer is yes.
Because some of these people are brainwashed into
Oh, really? You want to be the pot or the fucking kettle? Do you want which one do you want to be so that way you can look at the other one and be like, "What'd you call me, motherfucker?"
believing certain things that
For
they
sure.
don't actually agree
No,
with
no,
because
okay.
they don't have the proper information
Got
on
it.
it.
So
Oh yeah, well, everybody has the fucking internet and everybody's able to take a look at both sides. Most people on the Republican side do. As a matter of fact, there are quite a few liberals, Democrat voters that voted Republican because they did that, and also because they saw how insane you people are against those that fucking do that. You remember how it was back in 2015, 2016, where everybody was fucking ashamed of admitting that they were fucking in favor of Donald Trump and Make America Great Again, right? But Donald Trump won. Well, now it's the other way around. Welcome. Crazy, I'm curious if the coming weeks you'll be covering the conflict in India. Pretty crazy stuff. Hard to tell what the truth is of what's going on. I don't know the full details of what's going on. I believe it's between India and Pakistan, but I did see a video where it was just like, okay, this is what it seems like going on between fucking India and Pakistan. You fucking, you bloody, you fucking bastard bitch. Like that fucking soundbite ended up fucking going on. I don't know, but what I do know is that if this is going to continue, then we might be able to get more American fucking people on the other line when we're trying to fucking call customer service. So like that's a plus on my side if you ask me. But I don't know the full details of what's going on with that. Like I haven't seen shit like this since the British partition.
for example, would you agree that when the Democrats sat during the State of the Union address,
But also, from what I heard, that's already been like Trump is already on the fucking ball with trying to squash that, so that way he has no new wars going on in his presidency of any country.
to not applaud a kid with brain cancer?
Hold on, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to rewind this so that way you can hear the whole fucking thing.
Actually agree
No,
with
no,
because
okay.
they don't have the proper information
Got
on
it.
it.
So, for example, would you agree that when the Democrats sat during the State of the Union address to not applaud a kid with brain cancer, that is cult-like behavior?
Yeah, not a single one of them fucking stood up. I'm sure you guys remember me fucking covering that.
Because their leader told
Right.
them not to do it. I mean,
Well, who told them not to?
exactly. I mean, their leadership told
So
them.
who's their leader?
I mean, she does have a good point in asking that question because I feel like that was a ball that Charlie Kirk dropped. Here's the thing. They don't have a leader, okay? Think of like in wrestling terms, okay? Like I'm going to use this wrestling thing as a prime example. Think of this era's versions of the Republicans and the Democrats kind of like the fucking core and the new Nexus, right? So those, the whole Nexus split off when they did the fucking when they did the Superstar Shakedown, and some of the members of the Nexus ended up going to SmackDown, and some of them stayed on fucking Raw. So the new Nexus had a leader in CM Punk. The core, on the other hand, didn't have a leader, but instead they were all like-minded individuals who were all focused on the same goal, right? It is crazy. They just attacked Trump. Did MAGA attack Biden like they are? They are jealous. He's a true leader. Oh, DB, the answer to that question is January 6th because they can't seem to get that one date out of their mind, as opposed to how fucking Antifa acted, Black Lives Matter acted, because of the whole George Floyd thing, looting and rioting in the fucking streets, which was a peaceful protest against all different types of parts of the country. What they did with Snap/Chaz in fucking Seattle, Washington during that time, and all of the protests that have been going on since the second term of Donald Trump fucking started. You know what I'm saying? Like all of the shit that they have fucking done, and they want to just focus solely on the one event, that January 6th. That one event that happened, okay? Let's not, yeah, look, we can talk about that one event, but we can't talk about the multitude of events that have happened that the Democrats have fucking done. Now, like I was saying, I feel like Charlie Kirk made a mistake here because he said their leader told them to say this, that, and the other. No, what we're experiencing here is basically a hive mind. Okay? They all, like, there's multiple fucking queens in this hive, and they all have the same fucking agenda. Whether it's Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or fucking AOC, Bernie Sanders, like all of these people have this hive mind, and it basically affects the rest of the fucking hive where they all have the same mindset. But the queens but the queens in the hive basically are the ones who are those said leaders. A hive can have more than one queen, but the rest of them are just basically workers and drones. You know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily like the leaders, it's a complete and utter hive mind. And he'll have a fucking example of that as well.
Because their leader told
Right.
them not to do it. I mean,
Well, who told them not to?
exactly. I mean, their leadership told
So
them.
who's their leader? If they're
Well,
a cult,
Chuck
then who's their
Schumer
leader?
or Hakeem Jeffries, they had strict orders: do not stand and applaud for anything Trump does. They told us this.
Yes.
And so then Trump says, hey, can we just have a moment of non-political? Here's DJ Daniel. He's dying of brain cancer. He's now a ceremonial member of the Secret Service. And every Democrat sat with their arms crossed, not even being able to show the humanity. I mean, that's a cult.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Like, I saw that shit. And, like, who is that representative of fucking, Connecticut? Like, with the purple hair and fucking looking like the Crypt Keeper and shit. They all look like the fucking Crypt Keeper, by the way. And like, she just sat there fucking stone-faced and just, like, nobody showing fucking emotion. And the only people who actually congratulated this kid, like, without even turning it into a fucking political issue, the Democrats turned it into a fucking political issue. And it's like, dude, this kid's dying of fucking cancer. Or what about Laken Riley, okay, who was murdered by a fucking illegal immigrant that you people are trying to keep in the country? Like, and it was like, this is a horrible fucking event. Stone-faced. Nothing. They showed no fucking emotion about that. Unfortunately, the fucking Borg doesn't allow them to show emotion.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you got to think about that one for a second, don't you? There,
To
Dom.
respond to that, that is simply one example, and I'm sure you can pull a bunch other out. But and I'm not saying that.
With the stock market at record highs,
Oh, don't care. Shut up. I don't care. Yeah.
catch you off guard. NobleGoldInvestments.com.
Okay, yeah, good for them. I mean, good product placement there, Charlie. It's sad they are leaderless right now and are grasping at any straw they can. That's literally how it looks at this point.
What the Democratic Party did that night was correct. I believe that what they were doing was standing against Trump's hypocrisy and his narcissism and his way of, like, making himself look good by using other people.
Grabbing them by the pussy.
Who are marginalized to make himself look good.
Hold on, let me see what did she just say?
What the Democratic Party did that night was correct. I believe that what they were doing was standing against Trump's hypocrisy and his narcissism and his way of, like, making himself look good by using other people who are marginalized to make himself look good.
Oh yeah, because the Democratic Party would never do that for anybody else. They would never take somebody of color or a female or a fucking transgender person and utilize them to make themselves look better. They would never do something like that. Ever. In the history of never. Like, Kamala Harris was running based solely on her merit and not based off of the fact that she was a woman of color or anything like that. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, how fucking blind are you, woman? Yeah, I remember the Grab It guy. I actually still use that in reference every now and again.
So here's my suggestion.
I mean, obviously, she's like she's a 20-something, still a little naive to what's really going on in the real world.
And take it for whatever it's worth. Calling the opposition political movement a cult when the other one that you happen to be more allied with is obviously much more of a cult is not helpful.
Okay, then tell me. Tell me how it's a cult. Tell me how the Democratic Party is a cult compared to MAGA.
I'll give you another you asked me for more examples.
Yes.
Okay.
The day of the State of the Union address, all 22 Democrat senators repeated the very same video on social media, mindlessly like robots.
You guys remember when I covered that? That's exactly right. Like, that right there shows cult-like mentality or hive mind mentality.
What video?
The video where they said,
"Oh, she's smiling. You know she's lying.
Something is effing out of control, and this is not right." You guys all saw that video. Repeating the same incantation with not even like an iota of creativity or ingenuity, like just repeating it like as if they've been hypnotized into a... Got it.
I have not seen that video.
Well, you should.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking horrifying.
But again, I'm not even the one that...
Yeah, for somebody who, like, has a fucking supercomputer in her fucking pocket, you can't... And trying to fucking show how knowledgeable she is in American politics and being against Republicans, how could she not fucking have seen that? Was she high that day and just didn't remember?
Is up here...
Yeah, like, she wasn't brainwashed by that video because she didn't see it. She's been brainwashed by a lot of the other things that she's had. I mean, 20-something in college, obviously, college usually is a fucking, is like a foreground for fucking liberalism anyways.
Throwing around the cult word towards the Democrat Party. I just think it's a supremely rich accusation to say the MAGA movement is part of a cult, when evidently, based on the own standard that you put forward, the Democrat Party embodies those characteristics far more than Republicans or conservatives ever have or ever will.
Yeah, like I said, when a liberal or Democrat, whatever, however you want to fucking say it, whenever one of them finds out that somebody else is questioning their fucking beliefs, they are immediately ostracized. And it's like, no wonder why their fucking approval rating has shot down to, last I saw or heard, 17% approval rating amongst the Democratic Party. 17%. Meanwhile, they fucking boast about how Donald Trump has a 35% approval rating. And I saw this from Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, with glee, literally fucking said that as of right now, after the first 100 days, Donald Trump now has a 35% approval rating. And when he was questioned about how the entire Democratic Party has a 17% approval rating, you want to know what his response to that was? Polls come and go. Oh, so they do for your political party that has been waning in popularity since Kamala Harris was announced that she was going to be running for president in the stead of Joe Biden. But after the first 100 days, supposedly, fucking Donald Trump has a 35% approval rating. But for the Democrats, polls come and go. Like, they will not fucking... I can guarantee you that those people would not fucking announce if the president's approval rating increases. They'll wait until it's like 33% or 32% before they say anything else.
So one of the main aspects of a cult is a leader, a charismatic leader that people will follow blindly no matter what.
Okay, so maybe that's the case, but Donald Trump still has his opposition for people who are in the MAGA movement. For as many people that voted for Donald Trump, which I believe was like 7 million people, I mean, and he got the popular vote, and we won the Senate, we won the Congress, we won all around the fucking board as the red, and you know, like that, and that's 7 million people who voted out of how many fucking people live in this country? 330 million? Okay, and still got the popular vote, still beat Kamala Harris, still fucking got the House and the Senate. Okay, but not all of us fucking approve of everything that he fucking says and does. Now, granted, it's been a hell of a ride so far in the first 100+ days, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a fucking cult leader. You know, if that was the case, then don't you think that Joe Biden was a fucking cult leader too? Because he was president at one point. Or what about fucking Barack Obama? Or George Bush? Or George W. Bush? Or Ronald Reagan? Or Clinton? Like, don't you think that those all would be fucking considered cult leaders too? Because they all fucking won the presidency. And for a majority of the time, when Democrats are put into office, they usually win the fucking popular vote when they win the presidency. The question should be who was all pulling Kamala's puppet strings behind the scenes. Oh, that was Barack Obama, I'm pretty sure of it. But like they didn't pull him hard enough because she overspent, remember? Like she spent over $1 billion fucking dollars on her campaign and still lost. Like she's 25 million in the red.
The leader of the MAGA movement is Trump.
Well, yeah, so he created a fucking movement, but like everybody has a fucking campaign. His campaign is to make America great again. Obama's was change. Okay? Kamala's was I'm not Trump. Now give me a fifth of vodka. You know, Clinton's was indeed I did have sexual relations with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. Like, okay, just because he created a fucking campaign movement, you know, that people are actually in support of, doesn't mean he's a fucking cult. It means that he's the fucking president of the United States and that's what he was running for and won. So, like, do another one for me and try not to lift your arms over your head.
Who are you stating the leader of the Democratic Party is that people will follow blindly without questioning no matter what?
Yes. If they exist in the Democratic Party and they are in government in some way, shape, or form, that's who everybody's fucking following. The problem is that everybody's at the same time. It's like it's weird because we're watching these people fucking fall apart. The only thing that they all have a mindset of is they hate Donald Trump, and like that's it.
Well, I mean, there's...
and I'm hearing tons of different examples, so that can just tell you there's not one.
Okay, again, so it could be Obama, it could be Rachel Maddow. I mean, the point being is that I don't even think it's the strongest argument to call either party a cult. That's not why I'm up here. I'm simply just playing the same frequency that you're coming at, that based on the definition, the Democrat Party is far more mindless and far more of a Borg, to use a Star Trek analogy, than the Republican Party or the conservative movement.
Which, yeah, the Borg, like I made mention of that as well. You know, we are the Borg. The Borg was pretty much a fucking hive mind until you watched Star Trek First Contact, and then it turns out that there was actually a queen, a leader, if you will.
And so, but here's something I do want to ask.
Assimilate. Resistance is futile. That should be the Democrat Party's next fucking campaign slogan. Assimilate. Resistance is futile. Coming from a party that blindly followed a leader who couldn't remember that he was president. For real though, Vampira clown. She did indeed. She melted under the pressure. No, she didn't melt under the pressure. She got fucking 3 sheets to the wind under the pressure.
Ask though, if you are positing that it is a cult, do you think this entire audience is part of a cult and they don't realize it?
I think that my statement was the Make America Great Again movement is a cult. I'm not saying the conservative party is. I'm saying the far-right MAGA movement is a cult.
No, see, here's the thing though. It's not far right. Like, I explained it before, where you've got a magnetization going on right now, where the Liberal Party is moving farther and farther left, and at the same time, the MAGA movement has been moving farther and farther towards the fucking center. Like, they are more in the center now than they have been in the past. Like, Republicans and fucking Democrats have always been oil and water, but you also have to look at it from a magnetic standpoint, where it's like the farther left that the left goes, the farther left that the right's going to go as well. And now they're more along the lines of a central focal point. Like, Donald Trump has different views on abortion than most staunch Republicans do. Like for example, like Charlie Kirk, who's very Republican. He is very much against abortion, and fucking Trump is a little bit more lenient to it. That's definitely not something that is on that far right oligarchy, as she claims that MAGA is. And MAGA's not doing stuff that's good for the Republican Party. They're doing what's right for America. It's not make Republicans great again. It's make America great again. And that I think that is a focal point that a lot of the far left libtards are actually missing.
I will say that I believe in my heart that there are certain people in this group who could be characterized as someone who is in a cult.
Have you talked to all of them? Have you found how many people has she found that have said, one of us, MAGA, MAGA, MAGA? Yeah, that's exactly what it is, because that's what I've seen. And it's like the more far left that the Liberal Party fucking goes, the Democratic Party, I should say, goes, and they start pushing people away who don't follow those views. And that's one of the reasons why they have a very, very low fucking approval rating. Like, dude, a month ago, their approval rating was shot down to 24%. Then it was 20. Now it's 17. And it's because, like, the Democratic Party and the liberals don't take accountability for their actions. They keep doing the same shit over and over and over again, and continue to try to do and continue to expect different results over doing the same shit. This is the same shit that we saw 10 years ago when Donald Trump was running for president. Everybody hated on Trump, and they thought that was going to get them to win, and then that seemingly didn't work. And so they're trying it again. They tried something a little bit different when Biden fucking won, but then they did the same shit that they did 10 years ago to try to get Trump to not win a second term, and guess what happened? He fucking won his second term. And now they double down and double down and double down, and they're not taking a look at the problem that they're doing. Instead, they're focusing more on what Trump is fucking doing and trying to say why that's a fucking problem, instead of taking accountability for their actions, taking the L, and learning from their mistakes. Yeah, they're eating themselves alive. That's the funny thing about it, is like, not only do they attack MAGA, they also attack each other. And they wonder why their fucking party is diminishing to almost nil. It's kind of fucking ridiculous.
Okay. I think that's insane. And I'm not here to give Democrats advice, but it's so destructive to our politics to call people that just won a national electoral landslide and the national popular vote as part of a cult. Maybe instead it should be, maybe they have better ideas than we do.
Maybe they just...
Oh, let's hear the fucking snap fight here.
Maybe they had billions of dollars to put into their campaign funding that got them the awareness.
Oh yeah, because Donald Trump totally won based off of the backing of somebody like George Soros. Like, the only two major billionaires that have anything to do with Donald Trump being president is Donald Trump himself and Elon Musk. And because Elon Musk, who used to be a fucking Democrat, by the way, started being in more support of the Republican Party, the same thing with Tulsi Gabbard, same thing with RFK, same thing with Kash Patel, same thing with JD Vance. Like, it's fucking ironic that you said it's hypocritical of her to say that when Kamala Harris herself had $1 billion fucking dollars and she went into the fucking red. Yes, exactly. Even Trump used to be a fucking Democrat. You notice that a lot of these Democrats that seem, a lot of these Republicans now are former Democrats. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. I mean, you seem well.
Like, that was just absolutely fucking ridiculous what she just said.
Well-intentioned. So who spent more money in this election, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? It's not even close. It's 3-1 more money was spent by Kamala and her affiliated super PACs.
Yep. Kamala Harris spent $1.25 billion on a $1 billion budget. Donald Trump had a lesser budget, and he only spent $350,000
than Donald Trump.
Do you have the number?
As a matter of fact, he ended up saying we still have so much money left over that we could possibly fucking fit the bill for Kamala for overspending. Like, he ended up actually fucking saying that shit.
Yeah, you can go to opensecrets.org. You can look at all the outside groups, the hard money that Kamala raised, the super PACs that they raised. Democrats, by the way, do you know that 8 out of 10 of the wealthiest counties in America vote Democrat? Do you know the wealthier you are in America, the more likely you are to be a member of the Democrat Party? That the more, if you work with your hands and you don't graduate from college, that you're less likely to be a Democrat. Now, one of your fellow cult members just screamed at me from the audience saying, well, that's because, they're so educated. Do never conflate everybody, credentials, with an education.
Which, by the way, Charlie Kirk is very proud in saying that he's never been to fucking college, but look at how much he knows. Like, take a look at how much more educated that he is than a lot of these fucking college kids that he debates, who act like that they know so much more than he does because they went to college. And like I said before, college is mostly a fucking breeding ground for liberals.
Just because you have a lot of degrees does not mean you have the most important thing, wisdom. Wisdom is different than a credential. Now, I can tell that you're coming after this from a good perspective. So my last homework assignment for you is this. I want you to go find 5 people with a MAGA hat once this event is over and talk to them. And then I want you to say what you said to me. I want you to first accuse them of being in a cult, because if you can say it to me, you can say it to them.
Sure.
And then I want you to have a good faith conversation, because we are not going to bring this country together, of which is actually our goal here as part of the MAGA movement, which is why we have an open mic. If you go around accusing people as if we're following Charlie Manson.
You just did the same thing to me.
Well, in all fairness, I said if this is the standard of our dialogue right now, the Democrat Party is far more of a cult than the Republican Party.
He's got a point. He did say it like that.
That is not a contention that I throw around lightly, but it is, you satisfy the requirements way more.
I mean, basically, if it's basically like, okay, if this is the heat that you're going to fucking give me, then I'm going to give you the receipt. You know? Like, that's all he was doing. Like, he's equaling the energy that she's giving him. That's all that he fucking did. And then she, once again, jumped to a fucking conclusion that, oh, you actually said that I was a cult. No, I said if MAGA's a cult, then so is the fucking Democrat Party.
Then the MAGA movement does.
You haven't asked me enough questions to know that.
Well, that has nothing to do with what I've said.
Yes, it does.
I mean,
you haven't asked me if I would blindly follow some leader of the Democratic Party, which is no, I would only follow if I do the in-depth research of an unbiased source to get my information, and then I base my opinion off of that.
Fair enough. Can you give me an example of an unbiased source?
I mean, like Mayo Clinic or just like any EDU source of college information.
Oh my God. okay, your fucking argument is invalid. Because like Charlie, yeah, that's the same fucking look that's in my brain right now. Like, you do not realize that, like I said, college is like a fucking grounds for fucking the liberal agenda. Like, major fucking colleges, yeah, for real. Like, the look on his face, the look on Charlie's face is, are you fucking kidding me?
I'll end this. If that's your idea of a biased source,
Off the top of my head.
I would encourage you to dig deeper and be more of a free thinker.
And I
Yeah, totally unbiased sources. Going to any fucking college EDU to find your news source. Yeah. Hive mind.
will, and I am a free thinker, and I grew up in a conservative household, and once I left my parents and their beliefs, and I moved to college in a very conservative state, I actually become more progressive.
Okay, and so how is your relationship with your parents?
I mean, it's fine. We don't agree on most things, but...
Wait, so they didn't kick you out for having a different opinion? They're terrible cult members.
Yeah.
Wait, they still love you for who you are, and do they pay your tuition?
Nope.
Okay,
I pay my own tuition. I pay everything on my own.
Well, good. Then they're even
She's a strong, independent woman.
better parents. They make you pay for your own stuff. The point, so you can't even point to your own family as being part of a cult. They still love you. They still talk to you.
I would go as far to say, and if they're watching this, I do believe that my parents are in a cult. But
they didn't fucking ostracize you for having different political views.
Do you
Like, that totally goes against your fucking argument, you dumb bitch.
understand how damaging that is? To go around to say the people who raised you and nurtured you and brought you into the world that you're a cult because some professor told me the definition of a cult in an anthropology course.
Nope. You're wrong.
All right. Thank you.
Oh yeah, it was. He's totally like, nope, you're wrong. I'm right. Liberals, fuck MAGA. You know, like, that's what she's fucking screaming here.
Nice to talk to you, though.
Thank you for your time.
Hey, you. Oh, she's got a cute ass. Do you want a hat? Okay, well, there's that. Now, here's another thing, too. Like, when it concerns, like, the attitude of the Liberal Party, I came across this a couple of times on TikTok, and this is going to be the last thing that I'm going to put out here. I just want to show this as a fucking example. He probably is right. She probably heard something from a teacher that it's a cult, or that fucking EDU news source that she had. But this is going to be the last thing I'm going to show you when it concerns, like, the cult shit. All right, this fucked me up when I saw this on TikTok, and I just came across this again on fucking YouTube. So, like, just watch.
Do you know how I feel to get bullied? Do you understand how I feel to get bullied?
Now,
Do you understand? It's people out here in this world really getting bullied, and they killing themselves because of this type of stuff. You need to be ashamed. All y'all need to go home and think about this. Matter of fact, I want y'all to all come in with papers, 10 pages on bullying.
Now, this is the type of attitude that a teacher should fucking give and be non-biased about what side does what. Now, you're about to see in a second here why this was going down and why this guy got bullied by all these chicks.
Because I'm not going to stand for that. Are you okay? I want y'all to apologize right now. Apologize right now or get out my classroom. He shouldn't have worn that hat. Apologize right now. Get the fuck out my classroom.
Yeah. Did you hear what that chick said? If he didn't want to get bullied, he shouldn't have worn that hat. Oh, that sounds like along the lines of, if he didn't want it, it's like, that's kind of like the equivalent of if she didn't want it, she wouldn't be wearing that dress at the bar. So if he didn't want to be bullied, then he shouldn't have worn that hat. Okay. Yeah, you know what hat I'm fucking talking about, right?
Goodbye.
And I love the fact that she cussed that bitch out.
Goodbye. Sorry. Are you okay? Sorry. Are you okay?
Now after that chick fucking went off, like, these people are starting to say that they're sorry because they're seeing the severity and the fucking tenacity coming out of this teacher, which I don't blame her, because like the way that this guy looks like he's been treated, probably didn't deserve it.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I want that on my desk first thing in the morning. Do y'all hear me? Yes. Now back to the top quiz.
Oh, look at what she's got. She's got a red hat. I wonder what hat that is.
Put your hat back on.
You goddamn right. Put on that fucking hat. Like, I agree with the teacher on that one. The dude, like, you can clearly see, homie got bullied because of him wearing a fucking MAGA hat. And these people fucking bullied the shit out of him, demasculated the guy, and the teacher's right. Things like this happen every day where people get bullied so fucking hard that they go home and they commit suicide. And all this over what's obvious, a fucking MAGA hat? Oh, and yet MAGA's a fucking cult. You know, but like you're gonna be the ones that ostracize people because of what they fucking support politically. Okay, I think that's a case in point. So that's it for the fucking show. There was some more shit that I saw that I was going to fucking add, but I guess I'm gonna have to hold that for another episode. And what's fucked up is like there's so much shit that fucking happens and so much stuff that I want to share that has been getting pushed back for like a month now. But I'll get to it eventually. You know, there's just some more interesting shit that fucking keeps happening over the course of time, over the course of a week, and I only do this show once a week. But thank you guys for coming in and watching and participating up in the chat. I appreciate you guys coming in and watching and supporting and continually coming in and showing me love despite my fucking political views. I appreciate it, you guys. All right, I'm out this bitch. I'll see you next week. Deuces.